Chapter 293. By the time he returned from the Takashi Hoshi Collection Museum, it was already dark. This was the result of Wang Lan speeding up his shopping. In the end, Wang Lan was only willing to return after spending all his points. He bought the water-shattering dagger for the water element, the omniscient nature for the wood element, and the S-rank light and heavy displacement technique for the earth element. He had the fire and thunder elements, so he did not continue to buy. In the end, he bought the wind snare and S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique. It was an area of effect Takashi Hoshi technique. The 4 S-rank Takashi Hoshi techniques cost him 1,600 points, and this was after Wang Lan had gotten a discount for buying them all at once. When he returned to the dormitory, He Jing and Ming Guodong were playing games in the living room. Wang Lan, you're back. I heard you signed up for the 9-story pagoda. Yeah. Are you guys going? Hell no. We're not as lucky as you to be brought along by the second princess. We're Nebula freshmen. Even if we're stubborn, we'll only be cannon fodder. You have to be careful. Although the second princess is taking care of you, seniors die in the 9-story pagoda every year. The average strength of seniors is at the galaxy grade. He Jing, don't worry about Wang Lan. Have you forgotten that he has the phoenix form? Yeah, I'm freaking worrying for nothing. With the phoenix form, you should be stronger than most seniors. However, you still have to be careful. It's very dangerous inside. Got it. When I come back, I'll treat you guys to hot pot. Before he could finish speaking, He Jing hurriedly covered Wang Lan's mouth, even forgetting to push the pagoda. F***CK. Why are you raising flags for no reason? Wang Lan smiled and returned to his room, closing the door behind him. He put down his backpack and took out 5 metal boxes from it. In the past 2 months, Wang Lan had accumulated 60,000 skill points through the development of vaccines, but he had not been willing to use them. The 5 Takashi Hoshi techniques were just enough for him to learn. As for learning essence, it was impossible before he entered the 9-story pagoda. 3 days passed in a flash, and in the blink of an eye, it was time for the 9th level of the pagoda to open. Outside the mountain behind the academy, the 8 fourth-year classes lined up neatly and entered the 9-story pagoda. Jiang Xinyu held Wang Lan's hand tightly, looking worried. During this period of time, she had specially browsed through the campus post about the dangers of the 9-story pagoda. The seniors had ranked the various trials in the university into a difficulty level. The normal difficulty level was to close those alternate dimensions that suddenly appeared. Most of them were idiots who used space stones to open up alternate dimensions, but couldn't do it themselves, so the students of the academy had to clean up after them. The normal difficulty was to explore a space for practice, while the difficult difficulty was to go abroad to support a small country that was being ravaged by an alternate space. As for the 9-story pagoda, it was a trial that was higher than hard but lower than hell difficulty. Even a galaxy-grade martialist could die inside if they were not careful. Xinyu, don't worry. Leave Wang Lan to me. 10 days later, I will return you a complete Wang Lan. Yu Ruiyun patted Jiang Xinyu's shoulder and comforted her. That's right. Junior Jiang Xinyu, don't worry. Wang Lan will definitely be fine with us. Jiang Xinyu looked at Yu Ruiyun and the 4th-year expert, Yu Jifeng, before letting go of Wang Lan's hand. I'll wait for you outside. 10 days later, you must come out. Don't worry. Do I look like the kind of person who would mess around? As the team entered the 9-story pagoda, it was indeed as the rumors said. Each story was a world, and each page was an ocean. After passing through the golden door, they were greeted by a boundless landscape of mountains and rivers. In the distance, there were undulating mountains. Some were bare stone mountains, while others were lush green mountains and dense forests. At a glance, there was no end in sight. Let's follow the main group to wipe out the stronger, mutated beasts on the 1st floor. Then, we will enter the 4th floor one by one. When the army set out, they were invincible. Before reaching the 4th floor, all the students were led by the teachers in 4 different directions. Wang Lan and the other 3 were heading north on the 4th path. Bai Ji, understood. Wang Lan and the other 3 arrived outside a mutated beast tribe that looked like wild dogs. Under Yu Ruiyun's command, the 4 of them cooperated tacitly. Bai Ji's body flashed with star power. Rumble. The ground suddenly shook violently. Following the shaking, the ground beneath their feet suddenly rose. The main hunting hounds in front of them also started to become alert. Accompanied by a few barks, countless main hunting hounds quickly gathered together and vigilantly observed their surroundings. The ground beneath Wang Lan's feet rose rapidly. In Wang Lan's vision, a circle of earth walls suddenly rose around the main hunting hounds. It was as if the geological changes of the world were compressed into a few minutes. The landscape within a few kilometers was changed, and the cause of all this was a Takashi Hoshi technique performed by a baby-faced girl. Meteor shower. Yuruayun suddenly pointed to the sky. Fiery red star power flowed out from her body and turned into a huge red formation. Yuruayun threw the formation high up. The formation was like a decoration embedded in the sky, shining above the main hunting hounds' heads. Suddenly, hundreds of fiery red meteors shot out from the formation and smashed into the main hunting hound's territory with great force. Rumble. After a series of loud bangs, hundreds of main hunting hounds were smashed to death by the dense meteors. Countless main hunting hounds were also injured by the aftershock. Oh, oh, oh! A series of screams rang out. The hundreds of surviving main hunting hounds quickly gathered together and charged towards the gap that Bai Ji had left behind. The gap was long and narrow, with a distance of hundreds of meters. And at the gap, Wang Lan and Yu Jifeng were already in position. Wang Lan squatted down slightly and pressed his hands on the ground. Earthen sea of fire. With a boom, a sea of fire suddenly appeared in front of Wang Lan. The sea of fire rolled and crashed towards the main hunting hounds like a wave. Even though the main hunting hounds knew that there was a sea of fire in front of them, they couldn't stop and crashed into the sea of fire. Waves of air rose. Wang Lan narrowed his eyes slightly. Suddenly, several figures flashed in the sea of fire. Main hunting hounds with flames burning all over their bodies rushed out of the firewall and charged towards Wang Lan. They were originally sunbathing in their territory. Although there was no sun above them, they were still relaxed. Being attacked all of a sudden had already created a bellyful of anger. On the way to escape, they were ambushed by Wang Lan's earthen sea of fire. After being heavily injured, they were even more furious. Seeing the culprit in front of them, the main hunting hound's eyes instantly turned blood red. "I'll kill you, dash!" Opening their mouths, rays of moonlight white wind blades swept towards Wang Lan and Yu Jifeng like a pack of wild wolves. Gates of the underworld. Suddenly, a strange door appeared in the middle of the long and narrow tunnel. The door was made of huge rocks and had a sinister ghost face carved on it. The gates of the underworld, which was known as the strongest defense of the earth element, had successfully become a tight valve in this position. The wind blades had a strong corrosive power against earth element defenses, but they couldn't do anything to the gates of the underworld. The moment the wind blades were blocked, it was accompanied by a series of intense, crashing sounds. The main hunting hounds fearlessly crashed into the gates of the underworld. Even when their brains were smashed, they still couldn't shake the gates of the underworld. Their charging footsteps could only stop, but Yu Jifeng's attack had already been launched. In an instant, Yu Jifeng's figure disappeared. In front of Wang Lan's eyes, he turned into countless afterimages of Yu Jifeng. The afterimages appeared in an instant and disappeared in an instant. When the afterimages disappeared, Yu Jifeng had already passed by the pack of main hunting hounds and appeared on the other side. "You Luoshue." Yu Jifeng gently sheathed the sword in his hand. His faint voice was like smoke. "Puss!" All the main hunting hounds suddenly spat out green blood. Almost instantly, their heads fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan couldn't help but take a deep breath. Although Yu Riyun's meteor shower was powerful, it wasn't enough to make Wang Lan feel a chill run down his spine. However, Yu Jifeng's sword flashed past, and hundreds of main hunting hounds' heads fell to the ground in a second. As expected of the number 1 speed god in the 4th year. This speed refreshed Wang Lan's understanding of the limits of speed. A tribe with close to 1,000 main hunting hounds was easily wiped out by Wang Lan's group of 4. This kind of cooperation This kind of combat strength, even the teachers watching from afar couldn't help but praise it as perfect. The first level seemed boundless, but under the 4-team sweep, almost all the powerful mutated beast tribes were wiped out in less than half a day. In a 9-story pagoda, each level had 4 entrances to the next level. This was also the purpose of splitting into 4 teams. Wanglan's team seemed to be the strongest, and they were the first to enter the second level. The mutated beasts on the second level were obviously a grade stronger than those on the first level. There were also more types and more powerful individuals. Moreover, from time to time, they would encounter mutated beasts that seemed harmless but were very powerful. However, most of the mutated beasts were only at the peak of star blazing. Very few of them were at the second level of the galaxy realm, so they didn't feel very strong. After resting for a while and waiting for the other 3 teams to arrive, the 4 teams began to sweep northward. The perception type Takashi Hoshi pointed out the direction for the sweeping team. This was much more efficient than searching for mutated beast tribes all over the mountains. As the pace of the battle became faster and faster, Wanglan's team of 4 also reached a level of tacit understanding. If their previous cooperation required Yu Ruiyun's command, now they only needed a few simple words or a signal to complete the perfect cooperation. In addition to supporting his team, Wanglan also provided medical support to the allies who were sweeping together. The situation with a medical Takashi Hoshi beside them was unimaginable for those without a medical Takashi Hoshi. Injuries? Danger? There's almost no need to consider these. Especially when Wanglan's medical skills were so terrifying, the 4th-year students around Wanglan thought that they were immortal. The only problem was that Wanglan's medical fees were a little high, at least 2 soul orbs. However, in this 9-story pagoda full of mutated beasts, soul orbs were nothing. Unknowingly, 2 days had passed. Wanglan's team had also successfully reached the 3rd floor. Looking at the harvest, Wanglan's harvest was the highest among the 4 of them. Other than the harvest from the team's kills, Wanglan had also transferred over 1,000 soul orbs through his treatment. This batch of soul orbs could be stored in Wanglan's pocket. After slaughtering a mutated beast tribe, Bai Ji said with some jealousy, "I heard that the guy in the 3rd team obtained a Star Palace divine weapon on the 2nd floor. He was lucky. He was heavily injured by a mutated beast as soon as he came in. After that, he was even more unlucky. He was either ambushed by a mutated beast or grazed by a stray bullet. If he was unlucky, he was blasted away by a Takashi Hoshi and coincidentally fell into a weathered cave. He even managed to find a treasure in the cave. His luck was obtained by narrowly escaping death several times. Normal people can't be envious of him. If you were as lucky as him, you wouldn't be able to turn danger into safety every time." Yu Jifeng smiled carefreely. "But I'm still so envious. I really want a Star Palace divine weapon." Bai Ji looked up and sighed. Chapter 294. Actually, almost all the treasures on the 1st to 3rd floors have been found. Senior Han, you was very lucky to get the Star Palace divine artifact. But Senior Bai, you don't have to be envious. We're going to the 4th floor soon. The 4th floor isn't very developed. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some treasures. No, I'm just saying. Bai Ji quickly shook her head at Jiang Xinyu. Gather. After a short break, the leading teacher suddenly shouted from afar. Wang Lan and the others quickly stood up and ran to the group. Students, we're going to enter the 4th floor soon. The beasts on the 4th floor are completely different from those on the 3rd floor. Even the ordinary beasts are at the middle or late nebulous stage, or even at the peak. Among them, the proportion of mutated beasts is even more shocking. Let me remind you again that you must be very, very careful. When we reach the 4th floor, we can't hunt together. The beasts on the 4th floor are very gregarious. If we gather together, the beasts will also gather toward us. As a result, we have less than 200 people, but we have to face thousands of beasts. So, when we reach the 4th floor, we'll hunt in small groups. But you must be careful. Even if we're in small groups, we can't be too far away from each other. If we leave the group, we won't be able to help in time, even if we want to. It's best to form groups of 3 to 5 to hunt a tribe of beasts. The teacher patiently explained the dangers of the beasts on the 4th floor, but looking at the expressions of the seniors, it was already good enough that they understood a third of the teacher's words. Wasn't it just a trial space? How dangerous could it be? Even if it was dangerous, could it be more dangerous than the beast tide we saw when we went abroad to help? After entering the 4th floor and passing through the spatial door, the hazy feeling came again. Wanglan, Jiefeng, Bai Ji, follow me. Yu Ruiyun took the lead and flew to the north like the wind. Seeing Yu Ruiyun flying, Wanglan also jumped lightly and his body floated up like a balloon. Soon, he was flying side by side with Yu Ruiyun. Seeing Wanglan floating into the sky, Jiefeng and Bai Ji were both stunned. From the information they had, Wanglan seemed to only have the lightning and fire attributes, right? However, neither of these two attributes gave him the ability to fly. Earth attribute S rank, Takashi, Hoshi skill, lightweight replacement technique? Yurian looked at Wanglan in surprise. You have the Earth attribute? I'm a full attribute Takashi Hoshi, Wanglan declared again. Wanglan had said this to the people around him more than once, but for some reason, the more familiar people were with him, the less they believed in Wanglan's words. When Su Xiangwen heard this, he said, Son of Lan, wash and sleep. You have everything in your dreams. Hearing Wanglan's words, He Jingming and Guodong thought, Wanglan, I didn't expect you to be so obsessed with all attributes. You even fooled yourself. Go see a psychologist when you're free. Don't be so stressed. Huh? Was it that difficult to get all the attributes? Yu Ruiyun tilted her head and pondered for a while. Your attribute detection only showed fire. Later on, when lightning appeared, I guess that you might have already cultivated a second attribute. But now, I realize that I still underestimated you. I didn't expect you to have even cultivated the Earth attribute. You've even cultivated an S-grade Takashi Hoshi technique. Wanglan, you're the scariest genius I've ever seen. Sure enough, there was another person who didn't believe him. I think Wanglan is right. Below, Bai Ji stepped on the mud and the rolling waves and laughed. Strictly speaking, everyone has all the attributes. As long as you reach the galaxy realm, you can cultivate a second attribute. Then, based on the relationship between the attributes, you can derive the 7 main attributes. The full attribute Takashi Hoshi that we've heard about came about this way. Innate full attribute. I've never heard of it. Maybe there are. Wanglan, tell me honestly, how many attributes have you mastered now? Yu Ruiyun suddenly asked. She had a premonition that Wanglan loved to hide his trump cards. He might have mastered the Earth attribute before he went to university. He might not have even revealed it during the provincial martial competition. Let me count. Fire, lightning, water, wood, earth, wind. Currently, I only have these 6. Damn, you only have 6 out of the 7 main attributes? You've cultivated all of them except for the metal attribute? Wanglan, do you have something against my metal attribute? Senior Yu is a metal attribute? I really couldn't tell. The metal attribute is only one of my attributes. My innate ability is rapid thunder, which comes with the wind and lightning attributes. We're here, Yu Ruiyun suddenly said. The ground in the distance was a strange, reddish-brown rock. The scorching heat distorted the space, making the world in front of them look like an alternate dimension. The reddish-brown rock layer wasn't connected as a whole. Instead, it looked like pieces of irregular shapes were pieced together. In the gaps between the pieces, a bewitching red light flowed through the gaps. Wanglan followed Yu Ruiyun and landed. Seeing the 3 of them with serious expressions, Wanglan also became alert. What kind of mutated beast is this? Golden-winged fire scorpion. It has the 4 attributes of metal, fire, wind, and flame. It can shoot out extremely hot rays of light from its mouth, covering a distance of over 500 meters in an instant. Its high temperature of 8,000 degrees is enough to instantly kill a peak nebula expert. Their outer shell is of the metal attribute, and their strength is comparable to alloy steel. If they can't be killed in one move, their outer shell can quickly recover, and every time they recover, their outer shell will become even harder. They have a pair of wings on their back and can fly up to 30 meters. Their flying speed isn't fast, but their movement speed is extremely fast. Furthermore, they can walk on flat ground or steep walls as if they're walking on flat ground. Golden-winged fire scorpion also has the innate ability to dig. No matter if it's stone or soil, nothing can stop them from digging. Yuriyun explained the attributes of the golden-winged fire scorpion like an encyclopedia. After listening to everything, Wang Lan suddenly had the urge to flip the table and leave. What's the point of fighting? Let's change our target. There are no simple mutated beasts on the 4th floor. The reason why I chose the golden-winged fire scorpion is because these mutated beasts aren't very popular and have low intelligence. I've already thought of a strategy. After a while, I'll use long-range attacks to provoke them and lure a few dozen over. Bai Ji will use the earth element to block the remaining mutated beasts, and Yu Jifeng and I will kill the mutated beasts that are let in. We shouldn't need to change our target in this 10-day training. The number of golden-winged fire scorpions is enough for us to slowly kill. Since classmate Yu has already planned it out, I have no objections. I'll listen to Rune. Wang Lan could only spread his hands. I can't guarantee anything else, but I can guarantee one thing. Don't worry about fighting. Leave the medical matters to me. Rumble. In the distance, the sounds of intense fighting could be heard. The other teams had already started fighting with the mutated beasts. In these 3 days, Wang Lan's team of 4 had obtained an average of 1,000 soul beads. This was far from their basic goal. Moreover, they were all low-level soul beads, so they weren't useful at all. Whether it was Yuriyun or Yu Jifeng, their goal was only mid-level soul beads, the kind that could lower a few dozen soul beads. After the battle plan was formulated, Yuriyun flew into the sky and flew towards the golden-winged fire scorpion's base. Star power surged, and a blue light surged around Yurun. But just as she activated the star power fluctuation, the golden-winged fire scorpions that were lying on the ground suddenly woke up. In an instant, hundreds of golden-winged fire scorpions raised their heads. Not good. Yu Jifeng's expression changed greatly as he exclaimed. The moment his voice fell, hundreds of light-like flames rushed into the sky and shot towards Yurun. Yuriyun's expression changed greatly. She hurriedly changed Takashi Hoshi and summoned a waterfall. Chi chi chi. Dozens of flaming light beams hit Yuriyun's waterfall, and dense white smoke rose up. Yuriyun had obviously underestimated the penetrating power of the golden-winged fire scorpions. She was battered and exhausted by this round of attacks. The waterfall's defense collapsed instantly. Yuriyun quickly retreated, and dozens of golden-winged fire scorpions chased after her. Quick help! Yu Jifeng hurriedly shouted. The 3 of them went to help Yuriyun. Earth surge. Bai Ji hurriedly slapped the ground with her palm. The earth suddenly surged like a wave. The golden-winged fire scorpions suddenly stopped their pursuit, but the flames in their mouths still attacked Yuriyun intensely. Chi! Yuriyun wrinkled her brow, and her face instantly turned pale. Her shoulder was hit by the golden-winged fire scorpion's light attack, leaving a penetrating wound. Bai Ji, act according to plan. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground rose and cliffs rose, changing the terrain. Less than 100 golden-winged fire scorpions were isolated and continued to charge at them. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Wang Lan's group. Broken water wave, Wang Lan shouted, and a water blade shot out from his mouth, charging at the frontmost fire scorpion. That fire scorpion just happened to open its bloody mouth and was about to spit out flames when Wang Lan's water blade exploded. Boom! The gushing water rushed into the fire scorpion's body, and like an inflated balloon, it exploded with a boom. Kill! Yu Jifeng's figure flashed, and he instantly attacked the golden-winged fire scorpions. His afterimage instantly filled Wang Lan's field of vision, and he instantly disappeared. But this time, the results of the battle were not as great as before. Along with Yu Jifeng's moonfall snow, only 5 golden-winged fire scorpions' bodies were torn apart. Although the rest of the golden-winged fire scorpions suffered heavy injuries, their carapaces quickly recovered, just like Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi medical skill. Yu Ruoyun fell from the sky, holding her shoulder as her body trembled uncontrollably. Wang Lan swooped to Yu Ruoyun's side, his body flashing with white light, and a life-him shackle connected to Yu Ruoyun's body. Gee! A mass of red star power suddenly spurted out from Yu Ruoyun's wound, and Yu Ruoyun's shoulder visibly recovered. In less than 10 seconds, Yu Ruoyun's wound was as good as new. And at that moment, Yu Jifeng's situation was not very good. He was being chased by several dozen golden-winged fire scorpions. Although Yu Jifeng's speed was as fast as lightning, there would be a short pause in the instant he attacked. The golden-winged fire scorpions would seize this moment to attack Yu Jifeng, not to mention whether or not they would accidentally injure their own. The golden-winged fire scorpions had no such concept. Yu Jifeng actually managed to avoid the attack, but the dozen golden-winged fire scorpions died at the hands of their companions. Jifeng, disperse, Yu Ruoyun shouted, and the star power around her surged. 2 arrays burst forth from Yu Ruoyun's palms, and in an instant, the 2 arrays merged. The wind and water converged, and ice and frost filled the sky like a calamity, engulfing the golden-winged fire scorpions. Crack, crack, crack! In the blink of an eye, the scorching earth turned into ice and snow. Affected by the low temperature, the golden-winged fire scorpion's speed instantly decreased. Good chance. Yu Jifeng instantly activated his power, and the sword in his hand turned into moonlight. Gale's sword dance. His figure flashed like a ghost, and in the blink of an eye, he passed through the group of golden-winged fire scorpions. The golden-winged fire scorpions that had been restricted by Yu Ruoyun suddenly froze, as if their pressure points had been pressed. When Yu Jifeng returned to Wang Lan's side, nearly 100 golden-winged fire scorpions were simultaneously cut in half and killed. Assistance in killing a monster above your level. Reward: 3,000 EXP, 200 skill points. Chapter 295. The beasts on the 4th floor are indeed stronger than I expected. Yu Ruoyun sighed as she watched the battle. Fortunately, Wang Lan is here. Even if we get hurt, we don't have to worry. Let's just hunt this one. Ruoyun's ice-type attacks restrict the golden-winged fire scorpion greatly, creating a chance for me to kill it. It's just that it consumes a lot of star power. Bai Ji had successfully collected the soul orbs. There were a total of 98 soul orbs. How do we divide them? We won't divide them for now. We'll leave them to you for safekeeping. Just give us soul beads to replenish star power. Wang Lan didn't need soul beads to replenish his star power because he didn't consume much. Although they're all elementary soul beads, the quality of these soul beads is much better than the ones below. They contain twice as much star power. After all, it's a powerful beast at the peak or late stage of Nebula. It's normal. Oh no! Suddenly, Bai Ji's expression changed as she exclaimed, "What's wrong? A powerful beast is coming. It's at least at the peak of the galaxy's state." Bai Ji had just finished speaking when the ground suddenly trembled. The sealed stone wall in front of them suddenly cracked. Oh no, retreat. As soon as she finished speaking, the stone wall in front of them shattered. A huge golden-winged fire scorpion appeared in a cloud of smoke. It roared at the sky and chased after Wang Lan and the others. Bai Ji. Understood. Bai Ji pressed the ground, and countless earth walls rose behind her. The huge golden-winged fire scorpion smashed through the earth walls like a hot knife through butter and chased after them. We can't escape. Yu Ruoyun instantly analyzed the situation and shouted in a low voice. Yellow Spring Gate. Wang Lan suddenly turned around and slapped the ground. Behind Bai Ji's earth walls, a strange stone gate suddenly rose. Boom! There was a loud bang, and the ground shook violently. The huge golden-winged fire scorpion crashed into the Yellow Spring Gate. The 4 who stopped suddenly felt their teeth ache. Perhaps this was what they meant by stubbornness. The giant golden-winged fire scorpion on the other side was already in an extremely miserable state. One of its originally awe-inspiring AO horn had already been broken, and fresh green blood flowed down along the broken part of the AO horn. If the golden-winged fire scorpion could speak, he would definitely say 3 words at this moment. It was clearly a good earthen wall, and he was having a great time with it. Since I'm so impressive, wouldn't my underlings be singing my praises? But why would you be so insidious as to suddenly build such a hard wall? Who are you trying to trick? Anger, unparalleled anger. The giant, golden-winged fire scorpion's body flickered with red light. Yu Ruiyun and Wang Lan's faces suddenly changed. Without hesitation, they grabbed Yu Jifeng and Bai Ji and rose into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the ground beneath the feet of Wang Lan and the others turned into boiling lava. It covered a terrifying distance of several hundred meters. Roar! A thunderous roar resounded. Because the gate of the Yellow Springs had lost its foundation, it was gradually swallowed by the lava. In the lava, the huge golden-winged fire scorpion walked over step by step, not recognizing anyone. What was worse was that it was followed by several hundred underlings. That formation was just like an army that was about to go on an expedition. F***CK. I've never been so aggrieved in my life. Yu Ruiyun, let's do it. Yu Jifeng, who was in Wang Lan's hands, shouted loudly. Okay, Bai Ji, let's move together. Earth Mountain travel. Understood. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Ji and Yu Ruiyun's bodies rippled with astral power. Their astral power ripples synchronized. Suddenly, the two of them threw a magic array into the sky. The magic arrays merged, and a huge magic array that covered an area of 500 meters appeared above their heads. Suddenly, a small mountain poked out of the magic array. The small mountain was porcelain white, as if it was a whole piece of white jade. Such a shocking Takashi Hoshi technique made Wang Lan feel relaxed and happy. Yu Ruiyun hurriedly shouted at Wang Lan again. Wang Lan, quick, change your weight. Understood. Wang Lan instantly put down Yu Jifeng and activated Phantom Shadow, perplexing track in the air. In the blink of an eye, he appeared on top of the white jade mountain. Heavy shift. Under Wang Lan's law of gravity, the white jade mountain's weight instantly increased by more than 10 times. The terrifying weight with a whistling pressure pressed down on the golden-winged fire scorpion below. Boom! The earth trembled violently. Even the other teams, several kilometers away, could hear the terrifying movement here. F***CK, which side is so fierce? This movement is almost comparable to a nuclear bomb. It seems to be Princess Yu's side. As expected of Princess Yu, this movement can't be made by anyone below the star sea level. The pressure of the 500-meter pyramid mountain was no small matter to begin with. And with Wang Lan's heavy shift, the pyramid was even more terrifying than the mountain. The lava on the ground instantly shot out in all directions. The ground was deeply dented by this pressure. Along with this huge attack, whether it was the giant golden-winged fire scorpion or the ordinary weaklings, they were all pressed under the mountain. Earth flow wall. Bai Ji hurriedly used an earth-type defensive skill. Tall walls were erected one after another, blocking the impact of the splashing lava. Rumble. The aftershocks of the tremors gradually dissipated. Under Wang Lan's all-out attack, countless cracks appeared on the white jade mountain. Unable to withstand the terrifying gravity, it was on the verge of collapsing. Leapfrog kill. Reward: 10,000 experience, 800 skill points. This is a great harvest. Wang Lan's figure flashed and returned to the side of Yu Ruiyun and the others. Just as he was about to say that it was done, his expression suddenly changed. No, the giant golden-winged fire scorpion isn't dead yet. The experience and skill points obtained from this kill were obviously from the hundreds of ordinary exotic beasts. If the giant exotic beasts were included, it should be at least 20 to 30,000 experience points. As if confirming Wang Lan's guess, the cracked white jade mountain suddenly collapsed. Flames soared into the sky. Within the flames, a malevolent, mutated exotic beast walked out of the ruins. Amidst the blazing lava, his battered body was rapidly recovering. With furious footsteps, it charged towards Wang Lan's group of 4 like a mountain. A single exotic beast actually charged out with the momentum of a magnificent army. The terrifying pressure was like a gust of wind. Damn, he can actually shed his shell and be reborn? With us suppressing it from behind, the golden-winged fire scorpion's reinforcements shouldn't be able to make it in time. This one, what should we do? Yu Jifeng asked excitedly, rubbing his chin. What else can we do? Go. Bai Ji, bring up the rear and create favorable conditions for us. Wang Lan, cover and be ready to rescue at any time. Me and Jifeng go. The four-man team once again charged towards the giant golden-winged fire scorpion. The intense battle made Wang Lan forget about the time. The sky was filled with lava, falling like raindrops. The feeling of dancing among swords and blades, brushing past the Grim Reaper, was very exhilarating. It was also at this moment that Wang Lan finally understood why the Takashi Hoshi's world did not treat women as women. It was because women were even more manly than men when they were fierce. Yu Ruiyun braved the fire and charged forward, bombarding it with 5 types of Takashi Hoshi techniques. Yu Jifeng's figure constantly appeared in every corner of the giant golden-winged fire scorpion, causing damage to it one after another. With Wang Lan's life hymn, this battle was so tragic that it was almost like they were exchanging injuries for injuries. After nearly an hour, the giant golden-winged fire scorpion was exhausted to death by the 4 of them. Even if they won, it was a Pyrrhic victory. When Wang Lan, Yu Ruiyun, and Yu Jifeng out of the ruins, both of them were already covered in injuries. After retreating to a safe position, Wang Lan hurriedly split into 2 healing channels to heal their injuries. In less than a minute, the 2 of them who were originally half dead were revived with full health. I finally understand how important it is to have a powerful medical Takashi Hoshi in the team. With such injuries, even if you don't die, you'll need to rest for at least 5 to 6 days to recover. You're done in just a minute. Yu Jifeng said excitedly as he twisted his arm. Bai Ji, come with me to change my clothes. Yu Ruiyun's clothes were badly damaged, but she could not show off like Yu Jifeng in his beggar's clothes. Fortunately, women like them would bring many sets of clothes with them. If their clothes were damaged, they could just change into another set. I found the soul beads. Half an hour later, Bai Ji said with her finger in the ground. As the ground danced, soul beads appeared in front of Bai Ji as if they were being spat out by the ground. There were 800 ordinary soul beads, 3 middle-grade soul beads, and 1 superior-grade soul bead. A superior-grade soul bead. That giant golden-winged fire scorpion actually had a superior-grade soul bead? That's normal. If it wasn't for the fact that it had the strength of a Starseed realm, how could it have beaten us so badly? A superior-grade soul bead is equivalent to the value of 3,000 ordinary soul beads. This gave me an immature idea, Yu Ruiyun said with a smile as if she had thought of something. What's so immature about it? I think it's very mature. We have Wang Lan to quickly recover from injuries, and we have soul beads to replenish star power. We can recover star power and red power. This is sustainable. After Yu Jifeng finished speaking, he turned his face to look at Wang Lan. I'm just following the team. You guys can do whatever you want. Unknowingly, 3 days passed quietly. After changing their target, the 4 of them no longer focused on the group of ordinary golden-winged fire scorpions. Instead, they focused on finding mutated or leader-ranked golden-winged fire scorpions. Almost every day, there would be 3 to 4 high-intensity battles. Moreover, every battle would result in serious injuries. Wang Lan did not know if getting injured could become addictive, but Yu Jifeng was gradually showing signs of becoming addicted. While Wang Lan was dodging the golden-winged fire scorpion's crazy attacks, he also had to be on guard against Yu Jifeng charging too fiercely and dying. After every intense battle, the 4 of them unexpectedly discovered that although their targets were mainly powerful individuals, the number of ordinary golden-winged fire scorpion soul beads didn't decrease. Behind a powerful golden-winged fire scorpion, there would often be a group of golden-winged fire scorpions following behind it. In an intense battle, even the aftermath of the battle could slaughter a large group of ordinary golden-winged fire scorpions. What was even more unexpected to those golden-winged fire scorpions was that they had originally come out to cheer for their boss, but they didn't expect to be killed by their boss in the end. Most of the golden-winged fire scorpions were killed indiscriminately by the large golden-winged fire scorpions, Yoi Takashi, Hoshi skill. Exotic beasts were indeed a group of ferocious creatures. Wanglan's battle style also attracted many fourth-year seniors to come and take a look. After all, such an earth-shattering commotion had been ringing from morning to night. It was inevitable that they would feel uneasy. When the fourth-year students saw the situation of the battle, almost all of them turned around and left without hesitation. Sorry for the disturbance. Goodbye. What kind of people were these for? They were basically playing with their lives. However, the problem was that they were actually able to obtain victory by the skin of their teeth every time they played with their lives. Then, they would be revived by Wanglan's healing. This was the playstyle of a monster. Ordinary people definitely wouldn't be able to do it. Chapter 296. Fireballs filled the sky and covered the scorched ground like rain. The lava under their feet seemed to be connected to hell, gushing out from the cracks between the rocks. The giant golden-winged fire scorpion in front of them was bigger than all the golden-winged fire scorpions that Wanglan's team of four had seen. It had the strength of a late-stage astral sea realm and was crushing everything in its path. In the face of such a powerful being, even Bai Ji, who was only responsible for controlling the terrain, had to join the battle, let alone Wanglan, who was a powerful close combat sorcerer with a medical element. I told you that we shouldn't have provoked this guy. You didn't believe me. Great, now we're all going to die here. Shut up. Yu Ryun instantly cast an ironwood barrier in front of her to block the lava attack, and shouted at the same time. Jifeng, we really didn't provoke it. It was obvious that it wanted to avenge its disciples and grand-disciples. It's the Scorpion King. Wanglan, heal him. Jifeng's figure flashed and chopped off one of the Scorpion King's legs. However, his abdomen was also hit by a small golden-winged fire scorpion below. 3 penetrating wounds appeared on Jifeng's chest. It's coming. Wanglan spat out a water-shattering dagger, which had been upgraded to gold grade. 2 golden-winged fire scorpions were cut in half at the waist. His figure danced and instantly came to Jifeng's side to connect the life hymn song to him. The rain of fire was still falling crazily, and the whole world had been swallowed by the red light. Over here, in the distance, 2 teams of 4 hurried over. F*CK. Is this something we can interfere with? But the second princess is inside. No matter what, we have to support her. Go. However, the 2 teams had just stepped onto this hellish ground when the rain of fire and lava fell indiscriminately. After barely dodging a few of them, a terrifying fireball suddenly turned into a rolling wheel and surged toward them. There was a shrill scream. The fireball rolled past, and the 2 teams of seniors were annihilated in the fireball. Damn it! Yu Ryun roared furiously when she saw the 2 teams behind her being killed. Colorful star power fluctuations surged, and the 4 attributes suddenly merged. Blizzard. The skies suddenly turned silver-white, and from the huge magic array in the sky, icicles fell from the sky like countless javelins and attacked the Scorpion King. However, the Scorpion King's armor was simply too thick. Even with a terrifying attack that fused 4 different attributes, it could not restrict the Scorpion King's movements at all. Wanglan, it's done. Yu Jifeng suddenly roared and rushed in front of Scorpion King. Wind, flower, snow, moon. A sword light lit up in front of Yu Jifeng. His sword turned into a bright moon in the sky. Under the moonlight, snowflakes danced in the air like falling petals. The sword chi that filled the sky poured down like the water of the Milky Way, directly into the Scorpion King's head. Clanking sounds rang out incessantly as the shell on the Scorpion King's head melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. Flame lightning arrow. In an instant, Wanglan used the phantom shadow perplexing track and appeared above the Scorpion King's head in a flash. Seizing this fleeting opportunity, an arrow fell from the sky and pierced the Scorpion King's head like a heavenly punishment. Creak! A shrill and hurried scream rang out. The Scorpion King's movements suddenly stopped. In the sky, Yuriyun, who was already covered in wounds, stretched out a vine and wrapped it around Yujifeng. She pulled Yujifeng back and pushed him to Wang Lan's side. Finally, wait! Wang Lan suddenly shouted. The Scorpion King looked strange. Why did it turn into a glazed color? Oh no! Yuriyun was so scared that her face turned pale. He's going to explode. Without hesitation, Yuriyun's star power surged wildly around her. Life firmament. Countless vines extended from Yuriyun's body and quickly weaved a huge net in front of her. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a huge cocoon that kept expanding and wrapped everyone behind it. Wang Lan immediately understood Yuriyun's plan. His star power surged, and countless vines extended from his body as well. Nature's manifestation. Yuriyun's life firmament lord was defending. The vines were all hard ironwood. Not only could they resist attacks, but they could also absorb star power. Wang Lan's nature's manifestation was mainly attacking and absorbing star power. However, even if it didn't work, Wang Lan didn't have time to care so much. Bai Ji, defend. Bai Ji was still running toward them in the distance. When she heard Wang Lan shout, she stopped. Boom! How terrifying could the explosion of a Scorpion King at the peak of the Star Sea realm be? Not to mention how powerful the explosion was. The terrifying area it covered was enough to make people feel cold all over. The area within a 2-kilometer radius was instantly covered by red heat. The ground was instantly baked into crystals. The complicated terrain created by Bai Ji was also completely destroyed by this earth-shattering explosion. Waves of air rolled, layer upon layer. The aftermath lasted for dozens of seconds before it stopped. The sky was dark, and the ground was scorched black. A huge pit appeared in the golden-winged fire scorpion's territory. Who would have thought that there was a terrifying beast tribe here not long ago? A golden-winged fire scorpion with tens of thousands of powerful beasts had turned into scorched earth at this moment. Cross-level kill. Reward, 100,000 experience, 50,000 skill points. In his mind, the kill notification sounded. Wang Lan, who was aching all over, woke up. When he woke up, he found that he was buried deep underground. Other than the terrifying pressure, he also felt an unbearable sense of suffocation. After the aftermath dissipated, a bump suddenly appeared on the ground. A snow-white hand reached out from the ground. Bai Ji was covered in blood. She staggered out of the pit. When she saw the scene in front of her, Bai Ji forgot about the pain. Her eyes widened in despair. Such a powerful explosion, and Wang Lan and the other two were still in the center of it. She was so far away, and she had the earth element defense, but she still suffered such a violent impact. How could Yuriyun, Yujifeng, and the others still be alive? Could it be that they were all dead? Suddenly, the ground in the distance bulged. A figure crawled out of the ground. After Wang Lan crawled out of the ground, he immediately turned around and started digging in the hole. Soon, Yuriyun and Yujifeng, who were no longer human, were dug out by him. The Scorpion King's final self-destruction was unexpected. Exotic beasts were not very intelligent. They followed the instinct to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. Exotic beasts rarely self-destructed. Therefore, they had underestimated the enemy and paid a terrible price. Wang Lan's injuries were not lighter than theirs. It was just that the moment he was injured, his self-healing skill was activated. As long as he did not die on the spot, Wang Lan could escape from danger in an extremely short period of time with his self-healing skill. When he crawled out of the ground, Wang Lan's injuries were almost healed. Wang Lan, are you okay? You're still alive? Bai Ji shouted excitedly. After surviving a calamity, the relationship between the members of the team had improved once again. At this moment, if Wang Lan asked for a hug, Bai Ji would probably agree without hesitation. Hurry up and give me the soul pearl. My star power is depleted. Bai Ji hurriedly took out a middle-grade soul pearl and handed it to Wang Lan. Wang Lan absorbed the soul pearl instantly. White light flickered around him as he connected Yuriyun and Yu Jifeng. With the healing of the Life Hymn song, Yu Ruiyun and Yu Jifeng's injuries healed quickly. Bai Ji squatted beside Wang Lan nervously and looked at their injuries. Previously, she was only concerned that Wang Lan was still alive. However, after seeing Yu Ruiyun and Yu Jifeng's injuries, Bai Ji couldn't help but gasp. If not for the healing of the medical Takashi Hoshi, they would definitely be dead. Their bodies were badly mutilated, and more than 90% of their bodies were burned. Yu Jifeng, in particular, had lost an arm and a leg. He was like a piece of charcoal. Wang Lan activated his star power with all his might, and the vitality of the two finally recovered. Only then did Wang Lan let out a small sigh of relief, and her suspended heart finally relaxed. "Give me another soul pearl." Bai Ji took out a soul pearl without hesitation. As soon as Wang Lan took it, his expression changed drastically, and he sent Bai Ji flying with a palm strike. Bai Ji was stunned, and she looked at Wang Lan in disbelief. She really couldn't understand why Wang Lan would suddenly attack her out of the blue. The moment Bai Ji flew backward, a golden-winged fire scorpion suddenly rushed out of the cliff ruins and pounced on Bai Ji. At the same time, a golden light shot over from afar and hit the golden-winged fire scorpion. Boom! The golden-winged fire scorpion was instantly engulfed by the golden flames. Bai Ji immediately came back to her senses and pressed her palms against the ground. Golden Buddha hands. Two huge Buddha hands suddenly emerged from the ground and closed in the air, engulfing the golden-winged fire scorpion. The golden Buddha hands suddenly twisted and squeezed, and a terrifying heat rose from the intense rubbing. Lava flowed down along the cracks of the Buddha hands. Who? Wang Lan and Bai Ji both turned their heads and looked into the distance. In a distant corner, three figures slowly walked out. Student Wang Lan, Student Bai Ji, don't be nervous. We heard the noise just now and came to take a look. Just now, we found a golden-winged fire scorpion lying in ambush, so we hurriedly took action. Please don't misunderstand. You found a golden-winged fire scorpion from so far away? Who are you kidding? Also, who are you? Why haven't I seen you before? Bai Ji shouted with a vigilant face. I'm a perception-type innate talent, so I could find you. Also, there were 12 fluctuations of astral power underground, so there should be 12 golden-winged fire scorpion lying in ambush. By the way, it's not strange that you haven't seen us before. There's so many fourth-year students. Who can guarantee that you've seen all of them? Also, we're not the kind of students who like to attend classes. We usually skip classes a lot. The three of them walked over while talking. Thank you, Wang Lan said with a smile. It's our duty to help each other. Tisish. All of a sudden, Wang Lan raised her hand and shot an arrow. Because of Wang Lan's words, the three of them had lowered their vigilance. Who would have thought that Wang Lan would raise his hand and attack with a smile on his face? The one in front was not prepared at all and was pierced in the chest by Wang Lan's arrow. The other two hurriedly dragged their injured companion and retreated. They instantly retreated and looked at Wang Lan nervously. You? What are you doing? We came to help you with good intentions, but you repaid our kindness with ingratitude. Good intentions? He launched that attack in advance. If I hadn't pushed Bai Ji away in advance, it wouldn't have been the golden-winged fire scorpion that was killed, but Bai Ji. I originally thought that you were students who wanted to take advantage of the situation, but Bai Ji didn't even know you. Also, if you were really fourth-year seniors, you wouldn't have been so tactless as to get so close to me. Judging from your tone and behavior, you don't belong to Cebu Gakuen at all. Also, you pretended to be a student and looked younger. You're obviously an uncle in his 30s. Do you think I'm blind? The last sentence was particularly fatal. Chapter 297. Ugh. With a light grunt, one of the men who had been shot in the chest by Wang Lan's arrow suddenly died. Brother, let's avenge brother. He's treating Princess Yu now and can't help. Their figures flickered as they charged towards Bai Ji. Bai Ji's expression changed. She was about to act when suddenly her star power was synchronized by an even stronger wave. The star power in her body went out of control. Synchronized star power? Wang Lan, Save me. He's treating two seriously injured people. He doesn't have time to save you. Go to hell. The two were as fast as ghosts. Almost in an instant, they had crossed dozens of meters and arrived in front of Bai Ji. One slashed at Bai Ji's neck, the other at her waist. Such a ruthless killing move, leaving no room for maneuver. Just as the blade flashed and was about to succeed, suddenly, a shadow flashed in front of their eyes. The two paused. The blade was less than a foot away from Bai Ji. Bai Ji's star power was restricted. She was like a fish on a chopping board. She had closed her eyes and waited for death, but the pain in the quadrant did not come. When she opened her eyes, she found the two standing still like wooden statues. Tisich, blood sprayed out, splattering Bai Ji's face. Only then did she realize that the two people in front of her had been split in half. Luoshu, a light grunt came from the back of the rock. Strong wind? You're all right? Bai Ji cried in surprise. With Wang Lan here, of course we're fine. Yuruyan patted Bai Ji's shoulder lightly. Come with me to change. The four reunited after changing clothes. It was impossible to tell that they had been through a life and death situation or were heavily injured. If it weren't for the fatigue on their faces, Bai Ji would have thought that the earth-shattering battle was just a scene in her mind. Why did those three people want to kill you? Wang Lan asked Bai Ji in confusion. Bai Ji was also confused. After thinking for a while, she shook her head. I'm just an ordinary student. Why would anyone want to kill me? I can't remember. You really can't remember? Wang Lan asked again. Bai Ji still shook her head. Her frown made her look pitiful. Yu Jifeng quickly tried to smooth things over. Maybe Bai Ji offended someone unknowingly. Anyway, the killer has been taken care of by us. We just need to report it to the school when we get out. Wang Lan frowned and shook his head. I'm afraid things aren't as simple as you think. I wouldn't be surprised if someone wanted to assassinate Ru Yun, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone wanted to assassinate me. But these three didn't even look at me and Ryun. They only want to kill Bai Ji. I couldn't figure it out. Moreover, sneaking into the 9th-floored pagoda to assassinate was not a simple operation. Those who were able to enter the 9th-floored pagoda were all recorded. If there was one more or one less, it would be detected. Spending so much effort to enter the pagoda is definitely not as simple as accidentally offending someone. But I really don't know. Bai Ji looked aggrieved. I don't understand. They went through so many difficulties and crossed so many mountains just to kill me. Since when did I deserve so much attention? Forget it. Let's get the Heavenly Sword Bureau to investigate when we get out. Wang Lan immediately put this question to the back of his mind. His expression changed into one of impatience. Bai Ji, quickly collect the golden-winged fire scorpion soul orbs. The Scorpion King's explosion took the entire tribe down with him. We're rich this time. Bai Ji was instantly excited. She sat cross-legged and controlled the ground to move slightly. Her expression suddenly turned to shock and then to ecstasy. Under the gaze of 3 pairs of eyes, soul orbs gushed out from the ground and piled up into a small mountain in front of Bai Ji. There are about 8,000 low-grade soul orbs, 30 mid-grade soul orbs, and 5 high-grade soul orbs. That's enough to hand in the school's mission. Yu Ruiyun's face was full of smiles. The mission is complete. Should we retreat? Why should we retreat? It's only been 6 days. There are still 4 days left. It's not a loss to retreat so early. I'll come to my senses. Anyway, with Wang Lan here, it's fine even if we put our lives on the line. Why don't we go get rid of another mutated beast tribe? Yu Jifeng didn't seem to have learned his lesson from the previous incident where he almost died. Don't talk nonsense. If you die, I can only help you. I can't bring you back to life. How can it be so easy to die? What about the explosion just now? Even a Star Sea Realm cultivator would die, right? That can only be an accident. Mutated beasts that self-destruct are less than 1 in 10,000. It's already very rare for us to encounter one. How can we be so unlucky? All right, let's not talk about those useless things. Ruiyun, you're the captain. Say something. Yu Ruiyun opened the projection of her watch. A map floated in the air. I found an interesting place. What place? How is it interesting? This is Death Valley. It's designated as a forbidden zone by the school. No students are allowed to come close. Death Valley? I've never heard of it. Yu Jifeng thought for a while and shook his head. Although he was already in his 4th year, it was his first time coming to the 9-story pagoda. Moreover, from the past posts, he didn't see anything about Death Valley. Of course you don't know, because Death Valley was designated as a forbidden zone 20 years ago. No students are allowed to come close. No one went, so of course there's no relevant information. The reason why Death Valley is designated as a forbidden zone is because Death Valley is pervaded with a terrifying Takashi Hoshi poison. Even a Star Sea Realm cultivator can't stay inside for more than 30 seconds. And there's a mutated beast in Death Valley called Ghost Eyes. The poison is part of their body. They don't have a physical body, only a strange life form formed by the poison. Because of this, Ghost Eyes don't have any physical attack power. They rely on Takashi Hoshi poison to survive. They kill their target and use the poison to decompose the corpse. The decomposed corpse will also be assimilated into the poison. They could be a tribe, or they could be a whole. The entire Death Valley can be said to only have one ghost eye, or it can be said to have thousands of ghost eyes. Hearing Yuriyun's explanation, Yu Jifeng's throat moved up and down, letting out a gulp sound. So you're saying that you have a vaccine for the ghost eye poison? Yu Jifeng probed. With a vaccine, poison-type exotic beasts were just a bunch of dregs on the chopping board, cut up however you like. But without a vaccine, the Takashi Hoshi poison was the scariest killer. It reaped lives like cutting chives, slicing a huge chunk with a single slash. No, but we have Wang Lan, the great scientist who pioneered a whole new era of Takashi Hoshi poison vaccines. Hearing Yuriyun's tone, Wang Lan felt goosebumps all over his body. Ruoyun, don't mock me. I'm not mocking you. That's what the news said. Looking at the 3 pairs of hopeful eyes, Wang Lan finally shook his head, steeling his heart. But I haven't made a vaccine for the ghost eye poison. Strange, since the Academy has such a terrifying poison, why didn't the Academy develop a vaccine for me first? I don't know. Death Valley has been listed as a forbidden area for more than 20 years. Perhaps even the Academy has forgotten about it. Since Wang Lan hasn't developed a vaccine, we can't go to Death Valley anymore, Yu Jifeng said regretfully. That might not be the case. A vaccine might not be the only way to resist the Takashi Hoshi poison. There's another way, which is to fight poison with poison. But before that, I have to get a sample of the poison. Wang Lan said hesitantly. If the ghost eye poison was really as easy to deal with as Yuriyun said, he was quite tempted. You can give me the sample, but I have to ask, Wang Lan, how confident are you? I was already poisoned when I took the sample. I'm not confident at all, but don't worry. My Takashi Hoshi technique can treat the Takashi Hoshi poison, but the effect isn't proportional to the poison's lethality. I can save 2 people at the same time, but I can't save 3 people at the same time. And the Takashi Hoshi poison is too strong. Basically, it can kill in less than 10 seconds. I can't save them in time. So, I can save 1 or 2 people, but I can't save a large group. If that's the case, then let's give it a try. The group followed the map and came to the periphery of Death Valley. The whole Death Valley was like a huge basin with thick black fog rolling in it. There were only 2 valleys at the front and back. But the strange thing was that although it was just rolling in the fog, it seemed to have a consciousness and stayed in the basin without spilling out. Even if the blazing wind blew in the valley, it only rolled the poisonous things around but didn't blow them away. Outside the valley, there was a big river. On both sides of the river, there was an endless primitive forest. The group of 4 came to the edge of the forest and stopped. Wang Lan stared at the dense forest curiously. What are you looking at? Yuriyun asked softly. No wonder it's not just Death Valley that's a forbidden area. Even the area outside Death Valley is a forbidden area. A place with poisonous gas is indeed full of poisonous things. There are poisonous plants and flowers everywhere in this forest. Is it that scary? I suddenly have a bad feeling. Yu Jifeng shouted playfully. Actually, poisonous plants are fine. As long as you don't hurt them, they won't release poisonous gas, unless they can't help it. After all, These are things that Wang Lan learned from the books in the library when he was learning about Takashi Hoshi's poison. That was what the book said, but he didn't know if it was accurate. It's good that there's a poisonous forest here. When the time comes, we'll have to find the corresponding antidote in the forest. Jifeng, your speed depends on you. Go quickly and come back quickly. You just need to get a container of poison. Wang Lan took out a container from his space wrist and handed it to Jifeng. Jifeng took the container solemnly. Wang Lan, I'll leave my life in your hands. After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards the valley with an imposing manner that was as cold as the wind. Wang Lan's mouth twitched. Does this count as making arrangements in advance? Are you sure your Takashi Hoshi's technique can cure Takashi Hoshi's poison? Of course. I was poisoned by Sun Li Sensei before. I used Takashi Hoshi's technique to cure it. Sun Li Sensei is really thoughtful. She knew that I would need the Takashi Hoshi's poison synthesis equipment and prepared it for me in advance. Jifeng is going in. Bai Ji called out nervously. Wang Lan looked at Bai Ji in surprise. He recalled that Bai Ji and Jifeng have been interacting a lot these few days. Wow, there's something going on. But they didn't seem to know each other before they came in. They were in the middle of a fierce battle these few days. How could they hook up like this? Chapter 298. Although Wang Lan had promised before, the three of them still felt their hearts in their throats when they saw Yu Jifeng enter the poisonous fog. Wang Lan was worried that Yu Jifeng would suddenly float away and not be able to come out in time if he stayed in the poisonous fog for a few more seconds. Seeing Wang Lan's worried expression, Bai Ji's heart skipped a beat. They even looked at Wang Lan with a scrutinizing gaze. Senior Bai, I feel uncomfortable when you look at me like that. Are you feeling guilty? Is it dangerous for Gale to enter? Jifeng is out. The moment Yurien spoke, a figure rushed out of the fog like a ray of light, holding a ghost eye in his hand. But along the way, the ghost eye in Yu Jifeng's hand scattered like smoke. The dense black fog rose and quickly dissipated. When Yu Jifeng arrived in front of the three, the ghost eye in his hand had disappeared. There was only one soul orb left in his palm. Yu Jifeng's face was ashen, and he collapsed powerlessly. Wang Lan hurriedly supported him, and a white light flashed around him, connecting to Yu Jifeng's body. His star power was rapidly consumed, and a layer of strange green light appeared on Yu Jifeng's face. As the light gradually turned white, Yu Jifeng recovered his strength and slowly sat up. Jifeng, how are you? Bai Ji asked with concern. I'm fine. Other than some muscle pain, I don't feel poisoned. Saying this, he took out a container from his backpack. I only got this. I was planning to catch a ghost eye, but I didn't expect the ghost eyes to die as soon as they left Death Valley. They didn't even have a corpse. They just dissipated. These ghost eyes are like ghosts. Their bodies are gaseous. Physical attacks are useless, but attribute attacks are very effective. Their weakness is the single eye on the ghost face, and the soul orb is in the middle of the eye. If it wasn't for the poisonous fog, even star-blazing Takashi Hoshi could easily kill them. Saying this, he picked up the soul orb he just got. The quality of the soul orb is no worse than the golden-winged fire scorpion. With such a good soul orb, why is it so weak? Ghost Eyes isn't weak. If it weren't for Wang Lan, you would be dead by now. Yurien said indifferently. This is a special characteristic of poison-type exotic beasts. They put all their attributes in a poison. Their offensive and defensive capabilities aren't that strong. Wang Lan, is that enough? If it's not enough, I'll go take a look. Enough. Wang Lan opened his hand and activated his total decomposition, instantly shattering the vessel. However, the poisonous fog did not spread. Instead, it rolled and gathered in Wang Lan's palm. In less than a minute, the poison-coating formula of the ghost eye toxin appeared in Wang Lan's mind. In an instant, Wang Lan's mind came up with a corresponding method to restrain Takashi Hoshi's poison. I'm going to the forest to look for ingredients to make the antidote. You guys stay outside the forest and don't come in. The forest is full of deadly poison. If we're not careful, we'll lose our lives. After Wang Lan finished his warning, he turned around and walked into the forest. In the alternate dimension, mountains and ridges were not rare. However, the existence of the alternate dimension could not be deduced using common sense. Although the plants here were a little different from the ones outside, they were very similar. The terrain here was a little like a tropical rainforest. The ground was humid, the temperature was unusually high, the trees covered the sky, and poisonous flowers could be seen everywhere. Fortunately, there was no miasma in the forest. Otherwise, no matter how much astral power Wang Lan had, he wouldn't be able to last 10 minutes. After walking for about 10 minutes, they came to a patch of colorful flowers. Wang Lan directly pressed his palm against it, activating total decomposition. Following the decomposition, the flowers disappeared like snow melting away. In the blink of an eye, they were decomposed into primitive codes in Wang Lan's palm. Only 5 sets of coded substances exist, not even 1,000th of them. Wang Lan sighed. He extracted the 5 sets of coded substances and stored them in a container from the spatial backpack on his wrist. He continued his search. Wang Lan didn't let go of anything that looked poisonous. This total decomposition was really good stuff. If he were to use scientific instruments to decompose the substances, he would have to go through at least a few dozen or even a few hundred steps, and it might not necessarily work. However, total decomposition was as easy and simple as the god of creation. Unknowingly, an hour had passed. Wang Lan had decomposed at least 15 types of poisonous substances. The better ones had 20 sets of coded substances, and the worse ones had 3 sets of coded substances. Moreover, the assimilation rate of the poisonous substances was very high. As Wang Lan collected more and more coded substances, the remaining ones became harder and harder to find. Wang Lan didn't hesitate to expand his search. Not only did he focus on the poisonous substances, but those seemingly harmless and non-poisonous plants also became Wang Lan's targets for decomposition. Wang Lan actually guessed correctly. Since they could grow together with these highly poisonous plants, how could they not have some tricks up their sleeves? After about 3 hours, Wang Lan successfully collected 90% of the coded substances. Wang Lan, how are you? How much longer do you need? Yu Ruiyun's voice suddenly rang in his ears. This was Yu Ruiyun's wind-type telepathy ability. It was convenient for long-distance communication when there was no mobile phone or communication device. Just a little more, almost done. Suddenly, warning signs rose. Before Wang Lan's voice landed, his figure had already jumped away like a ghost. Boom! With a loud sound, a bloody mouth fiercely bombarded the place where Wang Lan was just standing. The bloody mouth raised its head. 2 pairs of tentacle-like things trembled slightly in the air, pointing at Wang Lan, who was standing on a tree branch. Wang Lan's eyes were filled with doubt. Was this a man-eating vine? But why hadn't he discovered such a huge vine before? Could it have drilled out from the ground? Impossible. If it had drilled out from the ground, there would have been some movement underground. But when he launched the attack, he didn't hear anything at all. Where were the vines at in the beginning? Wang Lan's expression instantly changed when he thought of this. Without any hesitation, his figure instantly turned into a stream of light and flew straight into the sky. As Wang Lan used phantom perplexing track to escape, the countless trees under his feet suddenly transformed into man-eating vines. The vines were transformed from those seemingly harmless trees. He was so careless that he actually ran into a man-eating vine forest. The man-eating vines were very huge, and their attack range was also more than 100 meters. But their weakness was also very obvious. They only had physical attacks, and there was a distance limit. So although the man-eating vines were like tentacle monsters dancing wildly below, they couldn't reach Wang Lan. Naturally, they couldn't pose any threat to Wang Lan. In the void, Wang Lan's 2 fingers were like swords. On his wrist, a pair of flaming wings flashing with thunder instantly spread open. Whoosh! A thunderous flame shot down from the sky. The thunder and the high-temperature flame instantly shot down a dancing vine. After the vine was shot down, it was also engulfed by the blue flame. In the blink of an eye, the vine fell down and quickly withered and melted in the flame. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seeing that his attack was effective, Wang Lan instantly shot several arrows in succession. In the blink of an eye, 4 or 5 vines melted in the flame and turned into ashes. Meteor shower. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard. Yu Riyun had unknowingly appeared beside Wang Lan. The flames fell like meteors falling from the sky. Hundreds of meteors fell to the ground and smashed a large area of the underground vine forest into smithereens. The smoke and dust dissipated, and the world returned to peace once again. "Why are you here?" "Seeing that you didn't come out for a long time, I was worried and came to take a look." "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, very good." King smiled and slowly descended from the sky. The surrounding flames were still crackling and burning, and there was a hint of purple in the thick smoke. Seeing that Yu Riyun was about to come down, Wang Lan hurriedly stopped her. "Be careful, the smoke is poisonous." Wang Lan came out of the smoke and extended his hand to perform decomposition of all things. After a while, Wang Lan's face showed a surprised expression. "Great, the last 10% has been found. Have you found all the ingredients for the antidote?" Avoiding the poisonous smoke, Yu Riyun came to Wang Lan's side. "Not bad. Our next step is to collect more ingredients. I'm confident in making a vaccine. However, it's impossible to make an antidote without sufficient ingredients." Wang Lan came out of the poisonous smoke and took out a container to collect the 10% of the ingredients contained in the poisonous smoke. Yu Riyun stood guard for Wang Lan. "Ruoyun, be careful of these spotted trees. They are actually the man-eating vines that we attacked. As long as someone comes near them, they will transform. Although their attack power is not strong, they are definitely poisonous." After about an hour, Wang Lan and Yu Riyun had collected enough ingredients for the antidote and returned to the vines. Just as they kept the container, Yu Riyun suddenly noticed something and ran towards the burned vines. "Wang Lan, look, what is this?" Wang Lan heard the news and rushed over. In the charred soil, the corner of a metal box was exposed. Yu Riyun used the earth element Takashi Hoshi to flip the soil, and a square box was slowly dug out. Foldable space box? Why is there a foldable space box here? A foldable space box was definitely a high-tech product. Although no one understood the principle, it did not hinder the creation of a foldable space box. It was just like how no one could explain the existence of electromagnetic force. However, its existence did not hinder people from using it. Space boxes nowadays are all shaped like backpacks. This kind of square space box has long been eliminated. I'm afraid it has been here for longer than our age. Yu Riyun carefully opened the space box. In an instant, the space box spat out pieces of sparkling stones like a fountain. It was as beautiful as a diamond. Space stone. Yu Riyun's face suddenly turned ugly. Space stone? There are space stones in the 9-story pagoda. Space stones are not rare in alternate dimensions. Although not all alternate dimensions have space stones, large alternate dimensions generally have space stone mines. After all, space stones and alternate dimensions seem to have a symbiotic relationship. Although the 9-story pagoda is special, it is still an alternate dimension. It's not strange that there are space stones. The production date of this space box is May 2004. It's something from 15 years ago. 15 years ago, someone came to collect space stones in the 9-story pagoda and was killed by the man-eating vines. The space box was left here? Is it a student from the academy? Wang Lan asked. It should be. If it's not a student from the academy, it shouldn't be able to enter the 9-story pagoda. Suddenly, Yu Riyun thought of the 3 people who tried to assassinate Whitebeard and shook her head. Not necessarily. Outsiders can also sneak into the 9-story pagoda. Didn't we meet 3 people today? It's just that I don't know where the space stone is. I've never heard of a space stone in the 9-story pagoda. How do they know? Chapter 299. Let's not dwell on this for now. It was 15 years ago. Let's report this to the school after we get out of here. Okay. The 2 of them flew out of the forest and met up with Yu Jifeng and Bai Ji, who were waiting outside. As soon as they walked out of the forest, Wang Lan was forced to watch their public display of affection. Seeing the 2 of them snuggling together and watching the river flow to the east, Wang Lan wanted to throw a stone at them. If the two of them still knew how to be secretive before, now these two had already reached the point of being unscrupulous. Wang Lan and Ruyun, you're back? How was it? Did you find the antidote? Wang Lan looked strangely at Yu Jifeng, who was smiling brightly. She had seen through his little trick, but he was still so natural and not embarrassed at all. Where's your sense of shame? I've collected the antidote, but I can't guarantee that I can make it. After all, the failure rate of making the antidote was quite high back in the school. As he spoke, Wang Lan activated the folding space on his wrist. The watch fell off Wang Lan's wrist and quickly transformed in front of Wang Lan. In the blink of an eye, a small laboratory appeared in front of Wang Lan. Compared to the space box he saw earlier, this was the real deal. There was a set of equipment from the medical department in this small laboratory. However, they were all miniature models. Wang Lan couldn't help but sigh. Suddenly really had foresight. She knew that Wang Lan would need the antidote and prepared it for Wang Lan in advance. He edited the extracted antidote according to the sequence of the antidote and sent it into the Takashi Hoshi antidote synthesizer. The image on the machine continuously displayed the sequence of the antidote, just like a loom. Wang Lan carefully added the antidote. The loom used reverse coding to verify Wang Lan's antidote. Suddenly had to repeatedly try to make the antidote for Takashi Hoshi, so Wang Lan didn't plan to succeed in one try. But strangely, until Wang Lan sent the last antidote into the machine, there was no error or failure. Was my skill too high, or was my luck just too good? He waited patiently for half an hour. Beep, beep, beep. With a soft sound, the synthesis was completed. Wang Lan quickly opened the finished product box, and 40 capsules appeared in it. The research is successful. There are 40 antidotes. Each of us will take 10 antidotes. If we finish them, we will have to leave. Take one before you enter. Remember, the antidote is also Takashi Hoshi's poison. However, when we inhale the ghost eye's poison, it will neutralize the poison in the antidote. Wait until you feel dizzy, then take another pill. 10 pills should be enough for us to use for a day. Wang Lan, I suddenly feel that teaming up with you is a F***king lucky thing. Yu Jifeng grabbed Wang Lan's shoulder and rubbed it hard. Without you, our team would still be fighting against the golden-winged fire scorpion. Of course. Wang Lan, why don't we team up with you after we graduate? With you by my side, I'll be at ease, Bai Ji quickly said. I still don't know where I'll be after I graduate. Of course, if there's a chance, I will. All right, we only have 3 days left. Time is of the essence. Deal with the ghost eyes. Yu Ruiyun immediately ordered. After distributing the antidotes, the 4 of them rushed to Death Valley. The poisonous smoke in Death Valley was indeed the ghost eye's body. When the 4 of them approached, the poisonous smoke clearly searched for tens of meters. When Wang Lan and the others continued to approach, it suddenly expanded and enveloped Wang Lan and the others in the poisonous smoke. The 4 of them hurriedly took a pill, and the dizziness disappeared instantly. At the same time, countless ghost-like things appeared in front of Wang Lan and the others. On top of a terrifying ghost face, there was a huge eye staring out. There was no mouth, no hands, only a face flying in the air. Without any hesitation, Wang Lan and the others immediately attacked. Wang Lan's nebula sword dance was activated. Sword chi swept out, and dozens of sword chi shot out, hitting one of the ghost eye's eyes almost simultaneously. When the eye was hit, it instantly exploded and the soul orb fell from the sky. Killed 15 ghost eyes. Reward: 1,000 EXP, 300 skill points. Damn, so easy to kill? Wang Lan sighed in surprise. Killing them was easier than killing the exotic beasts in Star Blazing and gave a lot of EXP. When Wang Lan killed 15 ghost eyes in an instant, Yu Jifeng had already killed close to 100 ghost eyes in an instant. As the number 1 speed god in the 4th year, Yu Jifeng displayed a terrifying killing speed. The ghost eyes are powerful because of their Takashi Hoshi poison. Without the poison, they are nothing. Yu Jifeng flew up happily. The last time he came in, he couldn't even last 5 seconds. He He was so weak that he almost thought he was going to die here. But this time, he was refreshed, and his body was as light as a swallow. He only wanted to kill people today. Kill the ghost eyes. Following the four's rapid killing, the soul orbs fell from the sky like rain. Thousands of ghost eyes died in the first 5 minutes. The ghost eyes were also confused. Why is my poison useless against you guys? But soon, the ghost eyes seemed to realize that if this continued, they would be slaughtered. Soon, countless ghost eyes began to converge. 10 ghost eyes could actually fuse into a large ghost eye. Moreover, the fused ghost eye could spit out acid mist and launch lightning attacks. Its strength instantly increased by several levels compared to the previous ghost eyes. But even so, in terms of combat power, it was still inferior to an ordinary golden-winged fire scorpion. After Wang Lan and the others grasped the rhythm, it was immediately a one-sided slaughter. The ghost eyes expressed that it was too difficult for them. Moreover, Wang Lan and the others were pleasantly surprised to find that the soul orbs dropped after the fusion were premium soul orbs. Some of the bigger ghost eyes dropped mid-grade soul orbs. This time, everyone's eyes lit up. Soul orbs couldn't be fused. Ordinary soul orbs couldn't be fused into a mid-grade soul orb, even if they piled up into a mountain. But this rule didn't apply to the ghost eyes. The ghost eyes could actually fuse high-grade soul orbs. Was this a ghost eye? Was this a beast? This was a F***king priceless treasure. And the problem was that all beast combat power was higher than the soul orb's grade. For example, a nebula beast combat power only had the most ordinary soul orbs. In order to obtain a mid-grade soul orb, one had to kill at least a galaxy realm beast. What was even more annoying were those mutated beasts that were terrifyingly strong but had ordinary soul orbs. This ghost eyes was truly the conscience of exotic beasts. A giant ghost eye that was only at the nebula realm could drop a middle-grade soul pearl. Yu Jifeng expressed that he wanted a dozen of such beasts. Yu Jifeng said, "I didn't say that. I didn't say that." It was precisely because of this that when Wang Lan and the others looked at Ghost Eye's terrifying face that could scare children to tears, they suddenly found him to be kind and felt that he was a little cute. If the Ghost Eyes knew what Wang Lan and the others were thinking, it would probably cry. Finally, someone could appreciate its handsomeness. Sword light flashed, thunder roared, stars filled the sky, and fire spread across the plains. Under Wang Lan and the others' unrestrained slaughter, the Ghost Eyes panicked. From a dozen to 100 in the blink of an eye, they gathered into a huge ghost eye. But big didn't really mean strong. The huge ghost eye was like a huge jellyfish floating in the sky, its figure flickering like a ghost. When it retreated, all attacks were ineffective. The Ghost Mother seemed to have retreated to another space and time, but it would appear every time it attacked, and it happened to be when Wang Lan and the others attacked. There were 3 huge Ghost Mothers floating in the sky, each of them able to launch an earth-shattering attack. In terms of attack power, it was indeed comparable to the ultimate move of a Starsea Realm Takashi Hoshi. However, the Ghost Mother's speed wasn't fast, and its defense was weak. Although the range of its attack was large, its speed was slow. In the eyes of Wang Lan and the others, it was just a blockhead. Purple Flame Saber. Taking advantage of the moment before the Ghost Mother launched unstoppable thunder, Wang Lan used Phantom Trace to appear above the Ghost Mother's head. Then, lightning and fire merged, and a purple flame saber fell from the sky. It fiercely struck the Ghost Mother's huge eye, and fresh green blood spurted out. With one successful attack, Wang Lan didn't dare hesitate, and instantly shot out another wave of purple flame arrows. The Ghost Mother's eye was heavily injured, and it couldn't hide for a while, so it was hit by a dozen arrows from Wang Lan. Boom, boom, boom. With a series of explosions, the Ghost Mother's huge eye instantly exploded in the sky. A fist-sized soul bead fell from the sky and was caught by Wang Lan. Sure enough, it was another high-grade soul bead. A high-grade soul bead could be exchanged for 100 credits, so it was unknown. Wang Lan had already obtained 4 high-grade soul beads, and an S-ring Takashi Hoshi skill was now in his hands. So fragrant. And when Wang Lan ended the battle, Yu Jifeng and Yu Riyun also caught a fleeting opportunity and instantly used their big moves. The lethality of these two people's big moves wasn't something Wang Lan could compare to. Wang Lan even split the kill into two, and they only needed to hit the target once. Amidst the beautiful explosion, two high-grade soul beads were caught in their hands and slowly fell. Suddenly, the poisonous fog suddenly accelerated and shrank. This scene made Wang Lan's group of four quickly form a small team and become vigilant. Who knew what kind of big move Ghost Eyes was making? The poisonous fog rapidly shrank, and the poisonous fog that covered the entire valley disappeared as if it was dispelled by the sun. At this moment, Wang Lan and the others finally realized what the poisonous fog was going to do. They watched as the poisonous fog escaped into the cracks in the ground that could be seen everywhere in the basin, and just ran away. Hey, are you an exotic beast or not? You're the first exotic beast I've ever seen that knows how to run. Yu Jifeng suddenly panicked and chased after it. Maybe it heard Yu Jifeng's voice, but Ghost Eyes ran even faster. In the blink of an eye, the last trace of poisonous fog disappeared into the cracks between the rocks. Death Valley returned to its original appearance. If it weren't for the soul beads all over the ground, Wang Lan would have suspected if the poisonous fog really existed. We're rich. Ha ha ha. Our harvest is more than double that of the golden-winged fire scorpion. Bai Ji smiled sweetly and brightly. This is the first time I've seen such a great harvest in my 4 years of university. Keep the soul beads. Can you put them away? Can you put them in our bags? Wait, what's this? Suddenly, Bai Ji exclaimed. From the soft soil under her feet, she actually found a pickaxe. The two sides were crescent-shaped, and it was specially used for mining. If it appeared in the mountains or construction sites outside, it would be understandable. However, in Death Valley, which was filled with poisonous gas, it seemed particularly out of place. Wang Lan, if there's no antidote, can anyone go so far? Bai Ji asked with her innocent eyes. Chapter 300. That's impossible. Yu Ruyin quietly came to Bai Ji's side and took the pickaxe, sizing it up. Without the antidote, let alone an Astral Sea Realm expert, even a titled expert or a half-step Astral Soul Realm expert wouldn't be able to come here safely. Do you think this Death Valley, the forbidden zone of life, has an undeserved reputation? For this person to be able to come here, he must have obtained the antidote. Suddenly, Yu Ruyin cried out in surprise. The production date on this pickaxe is actually last December? Last December? At that time, the 9th-floor pagoda should have already closed, right? It just opened this year. This pickaxe only appeared here recently? If the production date isn't written randomly, this pickaxe appeared here less than 5 days ago. After all, we were on the first 3 floors for the past 3 days. But why would someone bring a pickaxe to Death Valley? Bai Ji asked in confusion. Just now, Wang Lan and I found a 15-year-old spatial box in the forest. There was a pile of spatial stones in the box. This proves that there's a spatial stone mine on the 4th floor. If he came here to mine, then according to my speculations, he was either thrown into Death Valley and killed, or Death Valley was a place he had to pass through. But even if he was thrown in and killed, he shouldn't be able to reach this place. Moreover, there shouldn't be many people secretly coming here. If he took a detour, he would face the danger of encountering powerful beasts. If he has the antidote, passing through Death Valley should be the safest path. Either the spatial stone mine is inside Death Valley, or Death Valley is the only way. It's unlikely that it's the only way. Death Valley isn't big. With our speed, we could take a day to go around Death Valley. If we spend an extra day, we won't have to go through the dangers of Death Valley. Then, why would he leave the pickaxe here? Either he accidentally left the pickaxe here, or he met with an accident. As they discussed and speculated, a reasonable cause and effect logic was deduced. Should we go and tell the school? I don't believe that only one person came here to mine. Moreover, they came with a team this time. They might be digging with the pickaxe right now. Let's go and find them first. When the time comes, there will be witnesses and evidence, and they won't be able to deny it. That damn bastard. No wonder Demonic City would occasionally open alternate spaces. I was wondering why there were so many spatial stones. So this is where the problem lies. Daring to make a move on Cebu Gakuin's territory. The person behind this must be extraordinarily bold. Yu Jifeng shrugged his shoulders with a smile. The four of them began exploring Death Valley. As Ghost Eyes had fled underground, Wang Lan used the life hymn to expel the Takashi Hoshi's poison from their bodies. After all, whether it was the antidote or the Ghost Eye poison, they were both highly toxic. Only when the two were compatible could they neutralize each other. At the same time, Wang Lan was also wondering where the miners had gotten the antidote for Takashi Hoshi's poison. Even the oldest space box was something from 15 years ago. In other words, the antidote had been around for more than 15 years, and the space stone had been mined for more than 15 years? Death Valley had been designated as a forbidden area more than 20 years ago, but there were still people secretly mining there? Was it done by someone behind the school's back? Or was it arranged by the school and those people? Brilliant and Gale, we've sensed the vibrations of the underground space. Bai Ji suddenly said as she stabbed her finger into the ground. Where is it? Straight ahead, 3 kilometers. Let's go. Alert formation. 3 kilometers was nothing to the four of them. In less than 10 minutes, the four of them had arrived at the location Bai Ji had mentioned. On the surface, there was nothing wrong with the place. At the end of the basin, the cliffs were filled with corroded holes. They were densely packed and uneven, just like the craters on the moon's surface. The sound is coming from right below us, Bai Ji said solemnly. There shouldn't be many people, less than 10 of them. That's about the same as what we've guessed. It's impossible for them to mine on such a large scale, so there are only 10 of them. Look over there. Gale pointed at a hole halfway up the cliff, hidden among the many holes. The deep hole seemed out of place when compared to the other holes. Let's go. The four of them instantly flashed and arrived at the edge of the hole in the blink of an eye. Wang Lan touched the marks on the edge of the hole. They were man-made marks, so they should have gone down from here. It was pitch black in the hole, so dark that they couldn't even see their own fingers. However, in the world of Takashi Hoshi, their eyes weren't the only thing they could rely on. Sound, air flow, air pressure, and even smell could be used as tools to identify space. Especially Wang Lan's heat-sensitive eyes, which could see things in the dark. The hole was small, but it was unusually spacious inside. The 2-meter-long cave was actually dug out with pickaxes. Wang Lan touched the marks on a mountain wall and felt a little uneasy. Urian took the lead and walked in front, followed by Gale. Wang Lan and Bai Ji, who needed to be protected, were in the middle. Urian seemed to be bent on catching the guy who stole the space stone. Although she seemed to be walking at a steady pace, she was actually walking very fast. Ruiyun, slow down. I feel like something's wrong, Wang Lan said softly. What's wrong? I can't remember. This tunnel is a little strange. We've gone down at least 300 meters, so we should be underground. Why is the entrance of the cave on the wall? Isn't it supposed to be hidden? Gale asked. There are similar rotten caves all around, and one of them is the entrance to the mine. No one will know. Are you sure? Wang Lan looked back at Gale and asked, How did you find the cave at a glance? Also, this cave is indeed man-made, but there are no traces of ores on the wall. In a normal mine, there are traces of ores all over the wall. Even if it's not worth mining, it's definitely there. But the wall in this mine is no different from the outside. Are you sure there are space stones here? Although you're right, since we found this man-made cave, we have to find out who did it. What's the purpose of it? Yu Ruoyan said. Who's there? Suddenly, there was a soft shout in the mine. Yu Ruoyan heard it and rushed forward. The other party seemed to have sensed the movement in front of him. Suddenly, his body lit up with dazzling astral power, and he dashed into the depths of the cave. Go! The moment Yu Ruoyan finished speaking, she turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Even if Wang Lan wanted to stop her, it was too late. Gritting his teeth, he had no choice but to follow. Astral power surged around him, and the gate of the Star Palace opened. In an instant, the Phoenix constellation Saint Garment rushed out of the Star Palace and put it on. Wang Lan suspected that there was a trap inside, and the Saint Garment was his last resort. If the Saint Garment couldn't block the attack, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. No longer caring about whether they would be exposed, the four of them chased as fast as lightning. Previously, it took them nearly half an hour to cover 300 meters, but now 300 meters were covered in a flash. In the blink of an eye, they followed the previous person to a karst cave. In the cave, there was a pyramid made of space stones. At this moment, a circle of instruments around the pyramid flashed with electric arcs, but there was no crackling sound. Yu Riyun activated her astral power, and several wind blades surrounded the Takashi Hoshi, who was running in front of her, and shot him to the ground. In a flash, Yu Riyun landed beside the pyramid. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Seeing the pyramid, he confirmed that this was indeed not a mine, and there wasn't any space stone mine. Maybe the space box 15 years ago didn't dig out the space stones in the pagoda, but transported the space stones into the pagoda. Thinking of this, Yu Riyun's eyes narrowed. "Who are you? What are you doing here? Why did you transport so many space stones here?" "Princess Yu, we have been waiting for you for a long time." Suddenly, a black figure appeared at the top of the pyramid. "Waiting for me?" "That's right, waiting for you. My master invited Princess Yu to a different space." The other person's voice fell, and Wang Lan's face suddenly changed. His figure instantly retreated. Boom! Unexpectedly, he crashed into an invisible barrier. Wang Lan's face changed. He had really barged in head first. The other party had already prepared an inescapable net and was waiting for him. Boom! The pyramid in front of him suddenly burst out with a dazzling light. Accompanied by the light, a terrifying energy swept over, and the person standing at the top of the pyramid was instantly swallowed by the light and dissipated. "Break the space stone." In a hurry, Wang Lan shouted hoarsely. In an instant, the star power around him surged, and the four Takashi Hoshi skills that were connected instantly gathered in Wang Lan's body. All the star power was poured into this earth-shattering attack without reservation. Yu Riyun, who was beside him, also reacted after Wang Lan's reminder. The fusion of 5 attributes turned out to be a composite Takashi Hoshi skill similar to Wang Lan's. Purple Flame Lightning Spear, Chaos Dragon Elephant, Gale Wind Chop. Boom! 3 destructive attacks instantly hit the space stone in front of him. The pyramid piled up by the space stone instantly shattered, and the terrifying energy overflowed. The aftershock of the imagined explosion didn't happen. The wanton energy was absorbed by a distorted space projection that appeared above his head and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The space stone collapsed and disappeared like a pile of firewood, and the space above his head was violently distorted. But because Wang Lan and the other two suddenly launched a terrifying attack together, the enchantment around them disappeared. Wang Lan grabbed Yu Riyun's hand. "Go, let's get out of here." What came from his hand was Yu Riyun's resistance. "This is no longer something we can." Wang Lan's voice suddenly stopped. Something was wrong. Now, it wasn't only Yu Riyun who was resisting, but his body was also being pulled back by an invisible force. Wang Lan turned back abruptly. The distorted space projection above his head had now turned into a crack, and he was holding Yu Riyun, and Yu Jifeng was holding Bai Ji. They were barely resisting the suction of the crack in the sky. "Riyun, your grades are good. Can you explain, how can you open a different space in a different space?" Opening a different space in a different space will only cause the 2 spaces to merge, unless the 2 spaces were both fixed. The 9-story pagoda is special. What happened here can't be explained with common sense. Stop analyzing, think of a way. I can't hold on any longer. Yu Jifeng held on to the rock with one hand and roared with difficulty. "You're just fast. I can't hold on any longer." Before Bai Ji could finish her words, her body suddenly flew backward, and she was swallowed by the crack in the space together with Yu Jifeng. The moment the crack in the space swallowed Yu Jifeng and Bai Ji, Wang Lan couldn't hold on any longer and let go of his hand. It was as if he was sucked into the crack by a vacuum cleaner, and he disappeared instantly. Chapter 301. Wong. Suddenly, the fake mountain behind the tower started to shake violently. The student council guarding the 9-story pagoda hurriedly opened the sealed door and looked at the 9-story pagoda. When they saw the plaque on the 7th floor of the 9-story pagoda light up, the student council's expression changed drastically. It's fake, right? How is this possible? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, several figures appeared at the back of the mountain. A few tactics teachers noticed the commotion and hurried over. What's going on? Why is the 9-story pagoda shaking all of a sudden? Teacher, something happened. It seems that someone has reached the 7th floor. The 7th floor? Impossible. Even if we gather all the strength of the academy, we won't be able to reach the 7th floor. But the student council pointed at the flashing plaque on the 7th floor of the 9-story pagoda. The 7th floor lit up. What the hell? Why aren't the 5th and 6th floors lit up? Could it be that someone skipped the 5th and 6th floors to reach the 7th floor? Quick, inform the dean. In an instant, the entire academy was in an uproar. What did the 7th floor mean? Most of the beasts on the 4th floor were in the middle and late nebula realm. Most of them were in the galaxy realm or even the starseed realm. Based on this, most of the beasts on the 5th floor should be in the early and middle stages of the galaxy realm. Many of them were in the starseed realm or even beyond that. Reaching the 5th floor meant that Cebu Gakuin would no longer be able to use the 9-story pagoda. Once the 5th floor was reached, many of the beasts on the 5th floor would descend to the 4th floor. Even if the students of Cebu Gakuin were geniuses, they wouldn't be able to train in the 9-story pagoda. This was also the reason why the 9-story pagoda stopped at the 4th floor. On the 6th floor, almost all the beasts were in the late or peak stage of the galaxy realm. A third of them were in the starseed realm or above. What did this mean? The space on the 1st floor was huge. There were at least 1 million beasts on it, and hundreds of thousands of them were in the starseed realm or above. Even a team of peak starseed realm cultivators would have a slim chance of surviving. On the 7th floor, all the beasts were in the starseed realm or above. There were also many powerful beasts that even titled experts couldn't match. Even the 5 emperors wouldn't be able to return. Because of this, even if they wanted to break through to the 7th floor, they would not be able to do it with the current strength of the entire Jade State. If he really had such an idea, he would have to be prepared to fight with all the Takashi Hoshi in the Jade State. It wasn't as if there was something wrong with his head. Why would he try to get to the 7th floor? And now, the signboard on the 7th floor lit up. This meant that someone had already entered the 7th floor. It must be a display error, right? Surely, right? If the 5th and 6th floors didn't light up, how could the 7th floor light up? How could someone reach the 7th floor? It was fake. It was definitely fake. What happened? Dilao also comes to the back mountain, accompanied by Vice Dean Nangong. Dean, the 7th floor is lit up. A tactics teacher came to the front of Dilao. However, the 5th and 6th floors are not lit up. Impossible. Nangong Meng said decisively. It must be a display error. In order to enter the 7th level, one must first enter the 5th and 6th levels. Moreover, who could enter the 7th level? It's impossible. Dilao's face was as gloomy as ink. After thinking for a while, he said, "Inform the people inside that the 9th-floor pagoda trial will end early. Ask them to come out and see who is missing." Dilao, do you believe that someone has entered the 7th floor? What if? The 9th-floor pagoda is unpredictable. Who knows if there's a hidden space passage inside? End the trial and ask everyone to come out. In the silent canyon, the ethereal chirping of birds sounded. Wang Lan suddenly became alert and abruptly opened her eyes. He sat up and found that he was tightly holding Yu Ruyun's hand. Being pulled by Wang Lan, Yu Ruyun also let out a long moan and woke up. When she opened her eyes, she saw a lush scene. This was a basin, but it was definitely not a basin like Death Valley. The basin was several times larger. It was surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests. Where are we? Do we go out? Or are we in a different space? Or are we still in the 9th-floor pagoda? Although I don't know where we are definitely not out. Wang Lan stared into the distance with sharp eyes. Suddenly, a terrifying spider the size of a car walked out of the forest and walked towards Wang Lan and Yurun. "Do it!" Fiery Dragon Flame Bullet. Yu Ruiyun instantly made her move. Her star power surged, and a fiery dragon shot out from the red array. It roared and rushed towards the spider in front of them. Suddenly, the spider spat out a white substance, which turned into a big web in the air and met the fiery dragon flame bullet. The moment the two came into contact, the fiery dragon flame bullet was actually cut by the spider's web and fell from the sky. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan and Yu Ruiyun's expressions changed drastically. Yu Ruiyun's fire dragon flame bullet was an A-rank attack type, star martial technique in any case. If the spider had dodged it, the two of them could still accept it, but the spider had unexpectedly been able to easily split it apart. This was beyond their expectations. However, the two didn't hesitate. Wang Lan instantly used Phantom Shadow Perplexing Track and suddenly appeared beside the spider. Water Shattering Dagger. The gold-class Water Shattering Dagger could shoot out a water dagger that was as thin as a pinky finger. Its cutting power could even cut through a steel plate that was 20 centimeters thick. The water dagger's speed exceeded the speed of sound and hit the spider in an instant. However, there seemed to be a layer of transparent magnetic field around the spider's body. The moment the water dagger hit the spider, a distorted magnetic field appeared. The water dagger was instantly shattered in a mist and couldn't cause any more damage. "Oh no, this exotic beast's strength is beyond our imagination," Wang Lan cried out, his expression changing drastically. The spider suddenly jumped, crossing 100 meters in an instant and pressing down on Yu Ruiyun's head. Ebony Fall. Yu Ruiyun suddenly opened her palm. A straight wooden spear shot out from her palm and hit the spider's abdomen hard. The spider was pushed back and flew backwards. However, in an instant, the spider spat out a mouthful of silk and cut the ebony into pieces. Then, it turned into a spider web and enveloped Yu Ruiyun. Flaming Dagger. Wang Lan's figure flashed and appeared beside Yurun. His palm danced, and a dozen purple, flaming daggers flew out from his palm and slashed at the spider web. In a flash of blade light, the spider web was shattered and melted by the flames in the air. Wind Snare. Wang Lan hurriedly performed the S-rank wind attribute Takashi Hoshi skill to attack the spider. The spider had just landed on the ground and was swallowed by the wind web before it could stand up. The wind web was made of wind blades with the strongest cutting power. As long as it was swallowed by the wind snare, even exotic beasts with armor would be cut into pieces. However, the wind web only pushed the spider back. The sharp wind blades couldn't hurt the spider at all. How could such an ordinary-looking spider be so strong? Could it be that it had accidentally encountered a leader exotic beast? Yellow Spring Swamp. Suddenly, a delicate shout rang out. The ground under the spider's feet instantly turned into muddy mud. The mud rolled and turned into countless tentacles that swallowed the spider, forcefully pulling it into the swamp. Behind the spider, Bai Ji and Yu Jifeng also arrived. Ruiyun, Frozen Swamp. Wang Lan hurriedly shouted, "I seal." Yu Ruiyun didn't hesitate. She instantly fused her wind and water attributes, and a freezing ray shot at the spider. In an instant, the swamp was frozen into hard soil, and half of the spider's body was frozen in the swamp. Jifeng finished the blow. It's coming. Boom! Suddenly, the frozen soil around the spider shattered. A huge bloody mouth swallowed the spider in one gulp. A huge black snake with a terrifying horn on its head appeared in front of the four of them. That scene was so shocking that all four of them were dumbstruck. Let alone Wang Lan. Even Yu Ruiyun and Yu Jifeng, who had been through hundreds of battles, had never seen such a huge exotic beast before. Its head alone was the size of a dump truck, and its eyes were like lanterns. Big meant powerful. Especially in the world of exotic beasts, big meant terrifying. Being stared at by such a huge black snake, Wang Lan only felt a chill run down his spine. Yu Jifeng protected by Ji and slowly approached Wang Lan and Yu Jifeng, but he forgot to move after being stared at by the black snake. The black snake didn't attack immediately. It stared at Wang Lan and the others with its emotionless eyes. Wang Lan, guess what this black snake is waiting for? Is it waiting for us to turn and run and expose ourselves? Yu Ruiyun's voice was trembling. She tried to gather her astral power. As long as the black snake made a move, she would immediately use Takashi Hoshi to counterattack. But could her Takashi Hoshi deal any damage to the black snake? Could she protect Wang Lan and successfully retreat? Also, what was this place? Why was a random exotic beast so terrifying? I guess it might be considering whether to eat us or not. If it eats us, we're too small to fill the gaps between its teeth. If it doesn't eat us, it won't be willing to give up this rare opportunity to eat meat. Screech! Suddenly, the loud cry of an eagle resounded in the sky. In an instant, the sky darkened. Wang Lan quickly looked up, and his face turned pale with fright. A giant bird appeared in the sky. No, it covered the entire sky. If he used to describe a giant beast as big as a mountain, then the beast was indeed huge. But looking at the giant golden eagle above his head, Wang Lan felt that his previous description was too lacking. Mountain? That was an insult to it. Its beak could be described as a mountain. The moment the giant bird appeared, the black snake in front of them suddenly plunged into the ground. The ground shook violently. Wang Lan and the others felt as if the ground was flipped over. Run! Wang Lan roared and instantly used Takashi Hoshi to escape. The three of them immediately followed. They turned into streams of light and ran a few hundred meters in the blink of an eye. Boom, boom, boom. There was another violent tremor, and a terrifying wave of air hit them. It was as if they were facing a tsunami. In the face of such a terrifying shock wave, any defense or resistance was nothing but a joke. Wang Lan and the other three flew up and fell far away like duckweed. They rolled on the ground for a few hundred meters before stopping. When he turned around to look, he saw a scene that made his heart tremble. The huge black snake, which was hundreds of meters long, was actually caught by the golden eagle. The giant snake was like a worm in the golden eagle's mouth. With a flap of its wings, a terrifying hurricane rose. The golden eagle flew into the sky and disappeared into the clouds in the blink of an eye. The surroundings once again fell into dead silence. Yu Jifeng helped by Ji up. Gulp! Yu Jifeng swallowed a mouthful of saliva. What the hell is this place? Where did so many terrifying things come from? Such a powerful exotic beast. I'm afraid it can only be found on the 6th floor and above. Speaking of this, Yu Ruiyun's expression changed drastically. Did we reach the 6th floor? Chapter 302. As soon as this conjecture came out, everyone's expression changed. They remembered that they had been sucked into a space crack, so it was entirely possible that they had been teleported to a higher level. And if they had really been teleported to a higher level, they would have to fight their way down one floor at a time. Was this a joke? With the ferocity of the ferocious beasts on this level, how could they fight their way down? Ruiyun, will we die here? Bai Ji couldn't help but ask while trembling. No, we won't. Yu Jifeng quickly patted Bai Ji's shoulder. If we were teleported to a higher level, the Academy would definitely find out immediately. The Academy will definitely rescue us. Not necessarily, Yu Ruiyun said with a solemn expression. If we were only on the 5th level, it would be fine. If we were on the 6th level, the Academy would have to break through the levels one by one if they wanted to rescue us. This would require the strength of all the Takashi Hoshi experts in the Jade State. The consequence of breaking through the 6th level would be a large number of powerful beasts entering the 5th level. Just now, we saw how powerful the beasts here were. If we went down, the 9-level pagoda would be completely destroyed. Do we have to gather all the strength of the Jade State and take the risk of destroying the 9-level pagoda to save us? Moreover, this might not be the 6th level. According to our inference, the ordinary beasts on the 6th level should be at the late-stage galaxy realm. However, the spider we encountered was already at the early-stage galaxy realm. Even when the 4 of us join hands, it could still take us on calmly. This was not a power that a peak Galaxy Realm expert could display. As for the Black Snake, it was at least at the peak of the Galaxy Realm. Then, what about the Golden Eagle? Even if my uncle came, he might not be able to defeat it. This could be the 6th floor or the 7th floor. Wang Lan glanced at Yu Ruiyun in surprise. So heartless. She didn't even want to tell a white lie. Is that so? Bai Ji's face suddenly showed a sad expression. By the way, Bai Ji, at this point, are you still unwilling to tell me why someone went through so much trouble to assassinate you? Wang Lan asked softly. Even now, Wang Lan still hadn't forgotten the assassination attempt. Wang Lan, what do you mean? Are you suspecting that Bai Ji is deliberately hiding something? We are comrades who have gone through life and death together. At this time, we should trust each other even more. It's not that I don't trust Bai Ji, but we also need Bai Ji to trust us. Now that we've fallen to this point, we can't rule out the possibility that they're the backup plan after the failed assassination attempt. Hearing Wang Lan's words, Bai Ji's face turned pale again. Student Wang Lan, I really don't know. I'm just an ordinary student. I might have conflicts with others, but to go through so much trouble to kill me, I really don't think so. I don't have a good relationship with one of my classmates in the dormitory. I once competed with others for soul, orbs, and credits, but these are all very common. I really can't remember. Seeing that Bai Ji's expression didn't seem to be fake, Wang Lan sighed slowly. Forget it. Let's find a place to rest first. We've been set up from the very beginning. Black Hand's scheme is very big. Not only Ruiyun, but even I am also part of his scheme. Wang Lan's words made Yu Ruiyun's face turn ugly. Before the other party activated the spatial stone, he said, Princess Yu, I've been waiting for you for a long time. This was clearly a trap targeted at her. It was all because of her that Wang Lan and the others had fallen into such a dangerous situation. I'm sorry. Yu Ruiyun suddenly bowed deeply to the three of them. I've implicated you guys. Gale might be innocent, but I'm definitely not. Black Hand plotted against you, and he also included me in it. Wang Lan smiled bitterly. Otherwise, how could everything have been arranged so clearly? Wang Lan, for what you said, you seem to have guessed something. Why do we come to Death Valley? Wang Lan asked as he walked. Of course it's to hunt ghost eyes. As long as we can restrain the ghost eyes poison, ghost eyes are easier to kill than Star Blazing's exotic beasts. Bai Ji blurted out, but when she finished speaking, her eyes were already wide open, revealing a frightened expression. Even you guessed it. Wang Lan sighed again. Death Valley is really a good place. It's a forbidden area set up by the academy. If we do anything here, we definitely won't be noticed by the other students. That place will also be our ideal burial ground. When the ghost eyes poison comes back, even our corpses will be wiped clean. No one was aware of it. But choosing Death Valley is one thing. How to invite us into Death Valley is another matter. The ghost eyes poison is unpredictable. If the team didn't have me, the nemesis of Takashi Hoshi's poison, I'm afraid we wouldn't dare to set our eyes in Death Valley. Right? Yeah, those 10 people in Death Valley have been waiting for me for a long time. Wait, before we chased away the ghost eyes, the entire Death Valley was filled with poison gas. Then how did they manage to not be affected? Don't tell me they also have an antidote? Yu Jifeng asked, still confused. It's possible that they have an antidote, but I think they should have already injected the vaccine. Yu Ruiyun said, her eyes looking straight at Wang Lan. Who else can make the antidote and vaccine other than you? Don't you already have the answer in your heart? Who else could it be other than teacher Sun Li? Moreover, she even prepared the Takashi Hoshi poison synthesizer for me. She really arranged everything clearly. If it wasn't for this ambush, everything would have gone according to plan. However, once they encountered an ambush, it was only logical that all of this had been carefully planned beforehand. Teacher Sun Li really put in a lot of effort. This was a fatal blow. There was no room for luck. If I hadn't suggested coming to Death Valley, nothing would have happened. Even if you hadn't suggested it, they would have definitely arranged it. It would have definitely reminded you of the trip to Death Valley. Unless you were already prepared. Ruiyun, why did Teacher Sun Li deliberately want to harm you? How could it be just because of me? Yuriyun smiled bitterly. I'm a niece of Emperor Qing, the second princess of the Yu family. I'm involved with all the forces that are attached to the royal family. At the same time, I died in Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai. I died in a carefully planned conspiracy. It doesn't matter who planned this conspiracy, but Emperor Qing and those so-called nobles and royals need an excuse to cause trouble. In order to investigate the cause of my death and think that I am taking revenge, the martial arts practitioners of Jade Nation Star will be in a state of turmoil that has never happened before in 100 years. This turmoil will sweep the entire Jade State. Wang Lan looked at Yu Ruiyun in surprise. Although he didn't say anything, he felt that this woman was not particularly beautiful. Why was she so narcissistic? How could one's life affect the entire Jade State? Jade State had been stable for decades. Was it something that could be shaken by the death of a single person? You don't believe me? A little. Since we're all going to die here, I might as well make it clear to you. The Takeshi Hoshi in Jade State can be roughly divided into 5 forces, which are the so-called 5 elders and 5 emperors. As for the others, they're not important. Among them, Emperor Qing of the East, led by my uncle, is attached to the scholar officials, nobles, generals, and ministers who were still in the Jade Emperor's reign 200 years ago. Back then, Jade Emperor Ren announced his abdication and returned power to the world. But did those aristocratic families really agree? Were they really willing? In the beginning, Jade Emperor Ren suppressed them, and Duke Jiuqing didn't withdraw from the political arena. For 70 years, the nobles and the world elected to rule the Jade State together. But the invasion of the demons 130 years ago completely broke the balance. This war lasted 130 years until the mountains and rivers were broken. When the war ended, the nobles realized that they had completely left the political arena. It was impossible to regain power through normal means. The only way was to restore the Jade dynasty. Because of this, the talk of restoration in recent years was deliberately spread by them. Over the years, they didn't dare to act rashly because of my uncle and the other leaders. But the more they suppressed, the more pressure they accumulated. Now, it's on the verge of breaking out. As the second princess of the royal family, I took Di Lao as my master to ease the conflict. In order to stabilize the situation, my father didn't dare to have another child after I was born. Why? Wang Lan asked subconsciously. He never expected that there would be such a fierce undercurrent in the peaceful and prosperous Jade State. Moreover, it was only aimed at the Takeshi Hoshi world. But the Takeshi Hoshi world was also a human world. If the Takeshi Hoshi world changed greatly, the human world would also change greatly. Because he was afraid of giving birth to a son who would be used by them. My eldest sister married the youngest son of the White Emperor. I will inherit the Yu family in the future and can't get married. So, I can only take Di Lao as my master to suppress the ambitions of those people. Can't get married? Bai Ji looked at Yu Ruiyun in surprise. She suddenly felt pity for her. She used to envy Yu Ruiyun's family background. She had lived a life of luxury since childhood. But she couldn't enjoy the happiness of ordinary people. Yu Ruiyun's cheeks turned red, but she didn't explain. If I die, it'll be a clear signal to them. The Jade State will be in chaos. If that's the case, the school might come to save us. Wang Lan suddenly said, the Jade State won't allow this kind of chaos to happen. Compared to your life, the value of the 9-story pagoda is insignificant. But who will save us? How? Yu Ruiyun smiled bitterly. With the strength of those strange beasts, even if a titled warrior came. Suddenly, Yu Ruiyun's voice stopped. She looked behind her in horror. Wang Lan and the other two turned their heads. In the dense forest behind them, dozens of huge, flying, strange beasts with wingspans of dozens of meters suddenly appeared. They looked a bit like pterosaurs, but they were much stronger. What was worse was that these pterosaurs were rushing straight toward Wang Lan and the others. Run! The 4 of them instantly sprinted backward. However, before they could even run 100 meters, Wang Lan and the others stopped in their tracks in despair. The strange beasts behind them were too fast. They were all wind attribute strange beasts. Their speed was more than twice as fast as when they ran at full speed. Purple Flame Arrow, Meteor Fire Rain, Night Sorrow. Wang Lan and the other two attacked the strange beasts in the sky without holding back. But these strange beasts seemed to have the same barrier as the spider they had encountered before. All the attacks were shattered by the strange barrier around them. They directly rushed toward the four of them. Flash! Wang Lan and the other two instantly flashed. Only Bai Ji used the earth attribute Takashi Hoshi to wrap herself up. Chapter 303. Boom! With a light sound, the earth egg around Bai Ji instantly exploded into powder as if it was made of flour. Bai Ji raised her head in shock, her mind already blank. The winged dragon swept across the sky, its ferocious face filling Bai Ji's vision. Whoosh! The sound of a gust of wind brushing past the canyon rang in her ears. Bai Ji stood in place in a daze, but the upper half of her body had already disappeared. This scene caused the three who had just finished dodging to be dumbfounded. Their previous high spirits and fighting side by side seemed to have happened just a moment ago. But in that instant, a mere mistaken response caused Bai Ji to die miserably on the spot. Dang! With a light sound, a necklace rolled to Wang Lan's feet. After another round of diving attacks, the wind god-winged dragon once again flew into the clouds, circled once, and dived down once more. Bai Ji! Bai Ji! Ah! I will kill you! Yu Jifeng was furious. Furious to the point of insanity. The star energy around him danced like flames, and the sword in his hand instantly shot out a brilliant green light. Jifeng, calm down. Wang Lan hurriedly shouted, but Yu Jifeng still leapt high into the air regardless, meeting the diving wind god-winged dragon head-on. Purple Flame Arrow. Wang Lan raised his hand and slashed. The wind god-winged dragon was too powerful, so powerful that it exceeded Wang Lan's limits. Even if he activated the phoenix form, it would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The phoenix form could only display peak Star River power at most. Even if he grasped the compound Takashi Hoshi technique, he could barely reach the Star Sea realm. Even Yuriyun, whose power was stable at the Star Sea realm, could not withstand a single blow, let alone him. The phoenix form had to be a trump card in a moment of imminent peril. Otherwise, if he activated it and could not change the situation, he would undoubtedly die when the time was up. At this time, Wang Lan could no longer consider his teammates, consider his companions. He could only take responsibility for his own life. The purple flame arrow soared into the sky, hitting the wind god-winged dragon one step faster than Yu Jifeng. That strange barrier appeared on the wind god-winged dragon's body again, as if it was an absolute defense that could annihilate all attacks. Boom! The purple flame arrow exploded, and in an instant, Yu Jifeng's blade had already slashed down. Gee, this was Yu Jifeng's final strike. It was a strike that contained all of Yu Jifeng's spirit. In a trance, a hazy shadow seemed to appear around Yu Jifeng. It was the silhouette of a beautiful woman with long hair fluttering in the wind. As Yu Jifeng's sword chopped down, the shadow's sword chopped down as well. Wind god Quetzalcoatlus was split into two halves by strong moon's blade. Even in Neat, that absolute defensive barrier failed to block Yu Jifeng's sword. However, this sword strike had already exhausted all of Yu Jifeng's energy. Looking at the wind god Quetzalcoatlus that was split in half, Yu Jifeng revealed a faint smile. Bai Ji, I've avenged you. Gale! Chi. Three-winged wind god dragons flashed past Yu Jifeng's body like lightning. The moonstorm in the sky was like a piece of chocolate that had been split apart. It was held in the mouths of the three pterosaurs and rushed into the sky again. The next one will be us. Yu Ruiyun smiled bitterly. There were many scratches on her face, and it was stained with blood. She looked at the phoenix, saint robe on Wang Lan, and revealed a trace of envy in her eyes. If I had known earlier, I would have brought along the Star Palace Divine artifact. In the past, I always thought that bringing along the Star Palace Divine artifact was not a skill, and that one had to rely on one's true strength to stand at the peak. Now that I think about it, I was really foolish. What true strength? Staying alive is true strength. Wang Lan looked at Yu Riyun in surprise. Don't tell me you are greedy for my saint robe. I can't give it to you. Ah, you can still be humorous at this time? Their attack is here. Let's go all out. Even if we die, we can drag a few of them down with us. All right. The wind god Quetzalcoatlus in the sky swooped down. Wang Lan was about to activate his phoenix form. Dang! All of a sudden, the sound of a bell rang out. The bell was accompanied by sound waves that could be seen with the naked eye. It seemed to have instantly transcended time and space and swept across all directions. When the wind god Quetzalcoatlus heard the bell, it suddenly flew into the sky like a startled sparrow. It flapped its wings and disappeared into the sky. Dang! The bell rang once every 3 seconds. Jiang Xinyu sensed that the exotic beasts were fleeing quickly. This bell, what's going on? You don't know? But I know that the bell has a great effect on the exotic beasts, but it has no effect on us. Let's go and find where the bell is. Whether we can survive or not depends on it. Wang Lan instantly picked up the necklace by his feet. Then, his figure flashed and took by Ji and Yu Jifeng's backpack. Together with Yu Riyun, he rushed in the direction of the bell. Both of them knew the flying Takashi Hoshi skill. Their speed was much faster than running on the ground. However, this bell seemed to be nearby. But after flying for 2 kilometers in an instant, they did not even see a shadow. What's going on? The bell rang 10 times and suddenly stopped. After the bell stopped, the exotic beasts that were chased away by the bell came back to life. Flying exotic beasts rushed out of the forest and circled in the air. Thousands of exotic beasts in the forest roared at the sky. Their expressions changed drastically. They instantly increased their speed again. Suddenly, hundreds of winged dragons wind god appeared in the depths of the sea of clouds like a swarm of bees. Wang Lan and Yu Ruiyan both stopped in their tracks. They looked at the army of exotic beasts in front of them in fear. At this moment, they could not figure out how this group of winged dragons wind god came from the opposite direction. They only knew that they would be swallowed by the army of exotic beasts in an instant. Even if they landed on the ground, it would be useless. The exotic beasts under their feet were like ants. In the sky, they only had to face the flying exotic beasts. On the ground, they had to face the army of the 100 races. Wang Lan, I still have a Takashi Hoshi skill, but I haven't mastered it yet. No matter if I succeed or not, I will fight for a chance of survival for you. So, when I tell you to run later, you must run. Dragon Emperor form? Alright, I will also start my Phoenix form, but I can only last for 5 minutes in this form. If we can't kill our way out in 5 minutes, I will think of a way to create an opportunity for you. And, in an instant, Yu Ruiyun's body flashed with golden astral power. Golden light flowed around her body, and a golden dragon circled around her. At the same time, Wang Lan also activated his phoenix form. A phoenix tail flower lit up between Wang Lan's eyebrows. Flames engulfed Wang Lan in an instant. A pair of phoenix wings made of flames spread out behind Wang Lan, and a loud phoenix cry rang out. Ong! The moment Wang Lan's phoenix cry rang out, a dragon's roar suddenly rang out beside his ears. Suddenly, Wang Lan and Yu Riyun both felt that something was wrong. When the two of them activated their phoenix form and dragon emperor form, their astral power seemed to attract each other like 2 extremes of yin and yang. Their bodies also uncontrollably drew closer and closer. What's going on? Wang Lan exclaimed. I don't know. My astral power is out of control. Their palms seemed to attract each other like yin and yang, and they stuck together tightly. The moment their palms touched, their astral power also merged crazily. In an instant, countless information appeared in Wang Lan's mind. In the depths of his spiritual sea, the phoenix icon on the system's layout also changed. It turned into a diamond-colored dragon and phoenix auspicious. When the information rushed through his mind, Wang Lan suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Yu Riyun in surprise. Yu Riyun also looked at Wang Lan in surprise. At this moment, Yu Riyun's appearance had also changed greatly. Her face was covered with golden dragon scales, and two cute dragon horns grew out of her forehead. From Yu Riyun's eyes, Wang Lan knew that she had gone through the same experience as him. When her Takashi Hoshi skills attracted each other, not only did their astral power merge, but even their Takashi Hoshi skills were also connected. Wang Lan could perform all the Takashi Hoshi skills that Yu Riyun could perform, and Yu Riyun could also perform all the Takashi Hoshi skills that Wang Lan had learned. The fusion of the Phoenix form and the Dragon Emperor form not only changed the quality, but also multiplied the amount of astral power stored. It was as if the two of them were sharing the same body. At this moment, the Wind God-winged dragons were already in front of them. There was no time to marvel or hesitate. Their astral power instantly surged. In a battle in the air, the wind attribute was naturally the most suitable. Compound Takashi Hoshi skill, Burning Wind. Their minds were connected, and they instantly performed the compound Takashi Hoshi skill at the same time. The wind net and the scorching flames formed a huge golden net that instantly bombarded the Wind God-winged dragons in front of them. Squeak! More than 10 Wind God-winged dragons that were hit paused for a moment, while the rest of them scattered in all directions. A barrier rippled around the Wind God-winged dragons, trying to shake off the combined attack of the two. However, the vibrating barrier quickly cracked at a speed visible to the naked eye. Compound Takashi Hoshi skill, Purple Flame Dragon. Suddenly, the two of them performed a Super S Takashi Hoshi skill at the same time. A purple dragon with purple crystal light rushed out of the magic circle and bombarded the opponent with lightning and thunder. Boom! The frozen wind god Quetzalcoatlus were hit by the purple fire dragon. With a loud noise, the sky and earth trembled. 5 wind god-winged dragons directly exploded in the air and shattered into pieces. 7 or 8 wind god-winged dragons were also heavily injured. They flapped their wings and fled into the distance. The scattered wind god-winged dragons circled around and came back again, attacking Wang Lan and Yu Riyun from behind. Yu Riyun, who had succeeded in one attack, was full of fighting spirit. Recalling the tragic deaths of Bai Ji and Yu Jifeng, her murderous aura condensed and spread. Riyun, I only have 5 minutes, Wang Lan hurriedly reminded her. Retreat. The flame wings on Wang Lan's back instantly expanded. With a light flap, the two of them instantly broke through the sound barrier and turned into a stream of light, shooting into the distance. The wind god winged dragons behind them suddenly cried out excitedly. The wind god winged dragons were the fastest. In this world, there was no other exotic beast that could fly faster than them. Although the 2 exotic beasts in front of them looked weird, how could they fly so fast? Of course, they couldn't tolerate that. In an instant, the wind god-winged dragons flapped their wings one after another. Their wind attribute tails shot out like rockets, turning into arrows and chasing after Wang Lan and Yu Riyun. Wang Lan could no longer hear the sound of the wind. The whole world was terrifyingly silent. Although he didn't know how fast they were now, it was definitely supersonic. However, with such a fast speed, he didn't see any signs of human buildings at all. Even Wang Lan suspected that the so-called bell sound was the work of nature. His skill points were quickly depleted, and the time was decreasing bit by bit. The wind god-winged dragons behind them were still chasing after them. Wang Lan looked, following Yu Riyun's line of sight. A lone mountain appeared in his field of vision. However, the shape of this lone mountain was a little strange. It was like a long sword stabbed into the ground. If this was a sword, it would be a sword that only a giant over 100 feet tall could wield. Chapter 304. Whoosh! His wings flapped violently again, and the mirror images on both sides turned into virtual lines. Like a shooting star, he rapidly approached the lone peak. Chi, chi, chi. Suddenly, dozens of huge exotic beasts rushed out from below. Although they weren't as huge as the golden eagles they saw at the beginning, it was obvious that they weren't to be trifled with. Moreover, when these figures broke through the void, beams of light shot out like dense raindrops. If Wang Lan wasn't already in high speed, according to his prediction, he definitely wouldn't be able to dodge these light beam attacks. Moreover, the power of these light beams was enough to cripple Wang Lan and Di Yun if they grazed them, and they would die if they were hit. Although they were extremely fast, the flaming wings on Wang Lan's back were unexpectedly nimble. It was as if every feather could be controlled and adjusted, allowing Wang Lan to maintain his speed and nimbly change his direction at the same time. The exotic beasts below him didn't seem to be particularly interested in Wang Lan. After probing a few times, they actually didn't chase after him, allowing Wang Lan to break through the top of their heads and fly into the range of the lone peak. Wang Lan, it's crashing, it's crashing. Yurien was so scared that her face turned pale. Shit, I don't have enough star power. Wang Lan was also so scared that his expression changed greatly. Boom! With a loud sound, Wang Lan tightly hugged Yurien in his arms. At the critical moment, he turned his back and used the Phoenix Saint robe to resist the terrifying impact. Boom, boom, boom. Not far away, another series of explosions rang out. The pack of winged dragons behind them had also caught up. However, they didn't have the nimble dodging ability of Wang Lan. They were almost wiped out by the next wave of exotic beasts. The protective barrier around the winged dragons didn't have the slightest effect. Even if they were just grazed by the light beams, they instantly exploded in the air and died without a burial place. At this moment, outside of Mo Du's Cebu Gakuen, after receiving the temporary end of a 9th-floor pagoda trial mission, the seniors and the students who signed up for the 9th-floor pagoda trial walked out of the door one after another. As more and more people walked out, Di Lao's expression also becomes more and more gloomy. Old Di, Yuruyunshi, a tactical teacher, asked with a pale face. Although he already had a guess in his heart, he did not dare to ask. All the students walked out of the door, but the most important student was nowhere to be seen. Who has seen Yu Ruoyan? Di Lao comes to the front of the crowd and asks in a low voice. Dean, I saw her 5 days ago. Yu Riyun and 3 other students were grinding monsters near the golden-winged fire scorpion. Furthermore, the battle was extremely intense. As I recall, a huge battle seemed to have broken out later on. By the time we rushed over, we did not discover student Yurun. However, the gold-winged fire scorpion tribe had already been wiped out. There were traces of the aftermath left behind at the scene. I'm guessing that student Yu Ruoyun should have gone to another place to grind. Did anyone see Yu Ruoyun after that? The students were silent for a while. The latest to see Yu Ruoyun was 2 days ago. The change in the 9-story pagoda happened this morning. How are the casualties this time? 20 people died and 150 people were injured. The rest were either uninjured or lightly injured, the leading teacher said. Di Lao looks at the flickering light on the 7th floor of the 9-story pagoda. Nangong, I plan to go to the 7th floor. I'll leave the school to you for the time being. Dean, please reconsider. Nothing must happen to Ruoyun. Di Lao shouts. Just as Di Lao takes a step forward, his body suddenly trembles. He raises his head and sees that the light on the 7th floor signboard has been extinguished. Di Lao, who has experienced countless storms and waves, has always been calm in the face of change. However, at this moment, his expression changed greatly. The light on the 7th floor has been extinguished. What does this mean? It means that everyone who entered the 7th floor is dead. The 9-story pagoda can no longer sense their life auras. In an instant, everyone's expression changed greatly. Everyone who understood what happened had different expressions. Some were shocked, some were frightened, some were angry, and some were rejoicing. Dean, they're dead. Nan Gongming suddenly pulls Di Lao's arm and says, Open the pagoda. Di Lao's face twitches violently as he holds back his anger and shouts. Dean, they're already dead. There's no point for you to go. It's possible that even their corpses won't be left behind. At least I can find out how they got to the 7th floor. Dean, Even the five emperors don't have the confidence to deal with a mutated beast on the seventh floor. You have to calm down. The academy can't do without you. Dean, all the teachers who reacted promptly urged him to stay. Di Lao breaks free from Nan Gongmeng's arm and walks step by step towards the entrance of the 9-story pagoda. Dean, they're already dead. Do you really want to destroy the 200 years of the academy's foundation for the people who sacrificed themselves? If you reach the 7th floor, what will happen to the academy? What will happen to the future students? Nan Gongmeng interrogates Di Lao's back. If they're still alive, I'll accompany you even if I have to risk the entire academy. However, look, the light on the 7th floor has already been extinguished. Nan Gongmeng's words caused Di Lao's body to tremble again. It was as if all the strength in his body had disappeared in an instant. On the 7th floor of the 9-story pagoda, Yu Ruiyun carried Wang Lan on her back and walked up the 7,000-long steps. That violent impact was finally resisted by the phoenix form. However, even so, Wang Lan's inner palace was still heavily damaged. However, with the self-healing innate skill, as long as he didn't die on the spot, he could quickly recover. After the phoenix form ended, Wang Lan blissfully fainted. Yu Ruiyun, who had also used the dragon monarch form, wasn't as blissful as Wang Lan. Although she had also overdrawn her star power and physical strength, she still persevered and carried Wang Lan on her back. She walked up the long steps and carried Wang Lan to the entrance of a large hall. After placing Wang Lan on the ground, Yu Ruiyun sat down on the ground, exhausted. After sitting down for 3 seconds, Yu Ruiyun crawled up again. She looked at Wang Lan with a face full of worry. Her eyes flickered. Wang Lan's current state wasn't very good. His whole body flickered with golden flames. And this time, not only did his flames not protect Wang Lan, they were instead frantically eroding Wang Lan's body. When she carried Wang Lan on her back, Yu Ruiyun already sensed Wang Lan's current state. Wang Lan seemed to be possessed by the devil, his body flowing with boiling star power. However, Yu Ruiyun, who had also experienced the fusion of star power, was in a completely different state from Wang Lan. After being stuck in the Dragon Monarch form for close to 3 years, she unexpectedly had a breakthrough after the fusion of star power. The Azure Dragon Art's dragon and phoenix auspicious actually had this meaning. Even her uncle, the Azure Emperor, who had inherited the Azure Dragon Art, hadn't truly learned the Dragon Monarch form because it lacked the dragon and phoenix auspicious. However, the Azure Emperor was brilliant and talented. He had fused the Azure Dragon Art with the profound meaning of wood, creating the Azure Dragon form from a different path. However, this method was too difficult and the conditions were too high. Perhaps from ancient times until now, only the Azure Emperor could accomplish it. Originally, Yu Ruiyun had also planned to wait until her cultivation reached the late stage of the Astral Sea Realm before attempting to walk her uncle's path. Even if it wasn't the exact same path, it could still be used as a reference. However, she absolutely hadn't expected that the conditions of the dragon and phoenix auspicious would actually be achieved so smoothly. However, what was going on with Wang Lan's current state? Yu Ruiyun tightly bit her lips and extended her hand to touch Wang Lan's forehead. The phoenix star power continuously entered Yu Ruiyun's body, and the deterioration of Wang Lan's body once again calmed down. However, this wasn't a solution. Star power didn't appear out of thin air. Under the circumstances of not absorbing soul beads, there was only one source for the abnormal growth of star power, and that was overdrafting the life of the cells. In this short period of time, a few strands of white hair unexpectedly appeared on Wang Lan's head. Yu Ruiyun's eyes wandered, and her charming face suddenly reddened. She stared blankly at Wang Lan's serene face and slowly extended her demonic claws towards the tender grass. Wang Lan had a very deep and frightening dream. He took Yu Ruiyun and crashed into a lone peak. Then, the momentum didn't change as they broke through the Earth's mantle and reached the Earth's core. The Earth's core was filled with scorching hot magma, and the heat was so unbearable that it almost roasted him. However, at the critical moment, Jiang's sinew actually traveled through time and space. She released an aurora and sealed the entire Earth's mantle in ice. Only then did the scorching heat dissipate. After returning to the cool air, Wang Lan felt that his eyelids were heavy, and he slowly opened his eyes. Clang! A soft sound rang in his ears. Wang Lan turned his head. He didn't know when, but the phoenix saint robe on his body had been taken apart and was scattered to the side. Yuriyun was sitting not far away from him, and the star power around her was flickering like a pulse. In an instant, Wang Lan recalled what had happened before, and he hurriedly sank into his spiritual sea. The phoenix form had evolved into the dragon and phoenix auspicious, and it was a diamond-level Takashi Hoshi technique. In a hurry, Wang Lan hit the dragon and phoenix auspicious with his mind power. The dragon and phoenix auspicious had the power of the dragon and phoenix. After activation, the power would double, and the skill points consumed would still be 10 points per second. Fortunately, the system still had integrity and didn't raise the price. The only thing that made Wang Lan unhappy was that the starting point of learning the dragon and phoenix auspicious had been raised to the Star Sea realm from the previous galaxy realm. He was about to break through to the galaxy realm and completely master the phoenix form and the other Takashi Hoshi techniques. How the F*CK had evolved. Wang Lan sighed and sat up slowly. You're awake? Yuriyun's voice made Wang Lan feel an extremely unnatural gentleness. Well, maybe she wanted to be gentle but was not used to it, so it seemed awkward. Where is this? How do we get here? Wang Lan looked around the hall curiously. It was a dilapidated hall, and there should have been a god enshrined in the center of the hall. However, there was only a pile of rocks left on the altar. Even if it was a grade 9 puzzle, it would be difficult to restore it. This is the Immortal Cloud Sect. The lone peak we crashed into was the Immortal Cloud Sect's mountain gate. After falling down, we found this group of buildings, and I carried you here. How's your body? Do you feel any discomfort? My body. Wang Lan was confused at first. Yuriyun's tone wasn't a normal greeting, but a kind of concern as if he was seriously ill. He instantly realized that he might have been unconscious for a long time. Normally, with his self-healing ability, he shouldn't have been unconscious for such a long time. Even if it was the after-effects of the phoenix form, he was already immune to it. It was impossible for him to be carried here by Yuriyun without feeling anything. Was there a problem with my body? Yes. My Dragon Emperor form and your Phoenix form merged to achieve the Dragon and Phoenix auspicious. Because the Azure Dragon art I cultivated needed to go through the Dragon and Phoenix auspicious foundation, I couldn't cultivate it successfully. However, after merging with your star power, I succeeded. However, because my star power level was much higher than yours, I absorbed too much of your Phoenix star power, causing your foundation establishment to fail. Therefore, your star power started to bite your body. In the end, I had to transfer half of the Azure Dragon Art's Tao Foundation to you to save you. It sounds very dangerous. Can the Tao Foundation be transferred? Yuriyun's expression was somewhat unnatural. Special methods can indeed be used. However, this is a secret art. I understand, but I don't plan to learn it. Chapter 305. How long have I been unconscious? About 2 days. There's no sense of time here, so I can't accurately determine the time. Wang Lan stood up with some difficulty. With a crash, a necklace fell from her bosom and scattered. The pendant of the necklace opened, and there was a picture inside. It was a girl around 10 years old who looked like Bai Ji. Behind her, a man was hugging her. The moment Wang Lan saw the man, his pupils contracted. Yuriyun looked at Wang Lan curiously and pursed her lips. Don't you have a girlfriend? When did you fall in love with Bai Ji? Ah. Wang Lan looked up at Yuriyun in confusion. TCH. Still pretending? I noticed before that when Gale and Bai Ji were together, you had an unnatural expression on your face several times. Now you've been staring at Bai Ji's necklace for so long. Are you thinking of her? I always thought you were a calm and rational woman. I never thought you would show such an emotional side. Wang Lan smiled. And your imagination is no less than a normal girl's. Are you implying that I'm not a woman in your heart? Yes, you're a goddess, and a goddess of the masses. Heh, Sinyu said you're a blockhead. It seems she doesn't understand you. You're very good at flirting. I'm just speaking the truth. I don't want to listen to your nonsense. I know what I look like, and my sense of beauty is no different from normal people. Do you think I'm complimenting you? Please, we're teammates, brothers who have fought together, okay? Do you think I'm a superficial person? I'm not that shallow. I'm not the one who labeled you as a goddess of the masses. It's all the students at Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai. Other things aside, the two guys in my dorm are full of respect when they say your name. They're just short of saluting and singing the national anthem. Don't you know your image in the hearts of your classmates? You're like a goddess in the moon palace. It's lonely at the top, and they can only look at you from afar. You'll always be strong, wise, and mighty, but you can't be associated with women. Okay, stop talking. Yu Ruoyun waved her hand. If you continue, I won't dare to look at myself in the mirror anymore. Why? I'm afraid I won't be able to stop myself from worshipping the mirror. Hee. Then why are you staring at the necklace in a daze? There's a photo inside the necklace. Wang Lan showed the photo to Yurun. And then? I've already seen it before. This is just an ordinary photo. It should have been taken when Bai Ji was young. But this photo tells me why someone wanted to assassinate Bai Ji. Oh, is it related to that man? Yes, that man is called Xiao Qing. He was arrested by the Heavenly Sword Bureau some time ago. He was the one who controlled the underground soul orb trade in Shanghai. There were many people who had dealings with Xiao Qing. Now that he was caught, many of them wanted him dead immediately.
Even though he didn't reveal who the mastermind was until he died, but the person behind him wanted to get rid of him completely. I didn't expect Bai Ji to be Xiao Qing's daughter. What commoner genius who could achieve great things through hard work? It's really just a fairy tale. Is that so? Yu Ruoyun didn't seem to feel much. But thinking about it, they were in a desperate situation now. How could they be in the mood to think about other things? Are there no mutated beasts here? I don't know why the mutated beasts don't dare to come close. Wang Lan felt that he had more or less recovered. He slowly stood up. Have you looked around? Not yet. I've been guarding you. You almost died 7 or 8 times in the past 2 days. What about now? How is it? Are you sure you're fine? I'm fine. As long as the life in Takashi Hoshi skill didn't flash, he was fine. Let's go and look around. What kind of sect is this Immortal Cloud sect? Who knows? It might really be a cultivation sect. If they can leave behind a secret manual, treasure, or golden core for us to send the day, how wonderful would that be? You're thinking too much. Ascend in the day? I think it's more like a daydream. Yu Ruoyun said jokingly. She stood up and took a step forward. But suddenly, she staggered and almost fell. Wang Lan quickly reached out to support her. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm just a little exhausted. The two of them supported each other as they walked out the hall. The moment they saw it, they were stunned by the natural scenery. The lone peak where the collision occurred was located at the east of the hall. The hall was also located at the peak of a mountain. Outside the hall, there were steps that extended to the foot of the mountain. Each step was 1/2 meter high. Surrounded by mountains, clouds, and dense forests, one couldn't see the end of it. Countless flying mutated beasts were circling in the distant sky. In the dense forest, bestial roars could be heard. You carry me up along these steps? Wang Lan asked in surprise. What do you think? Otherwise, why would I be exhausted? As Yurian spoke, a faint blush appeared on her cheeks again. If it was just you, it would still be fine. The armor on your body is at least 30 kilograms. I carried you, who was close to 200 kilograms, and climbed for an entire day and night. It's been hard on you. It's all right. Have you found the big bell? I haven't had the time to find it. Following the stone path outside the hall, Wang Lan turned and arrived at the back of the hall. But behind the hall, there was a stretch of ruins. The ruins had been abandoned for many years. Judging from the scale, this Immortal Cloud sect was once incomparably glorious and prosperous. Perhaps it was because of destruction and the flames of war. Traces of battle could be seen everywhere. Obviously, the immortal cloud sect had been destroyed to such a state. Wang Lan, look.
Following Yu Ruiyun's guidance, Wang Lan found some eerie white bones in the ruins. Wang Lan jumped to the white bones. The white bones had been severely weathered. With a light touch, they shattered into powder. Once again, he returned to Yu Ruiyun's side. These bones are probably a few thousand years old. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so severely weathered. The Immortal Cloud sect should have experienced a catastrophe and the entire sect was destroyed. But if that's the case, why is the hall still intact? Also, why don't the strange beasts dare to approach? It might be related to that big bell. Have you heard the sound of the bell after that? I heard it twice. Every time, it rang 10 times. Perhaps this bell rang once a day. But the strange thing is, I can't identify where the bell is coming from. After reaching the Immortal Cloud sect, the bell seems to be everywhere. Look for it. Be careful. Wang Lan supported Yu Ruiyun and circled around the Immortal Cloud sect. Other than the hall, the entire Immortal Cloud sect was destroyed. Strange. Dang! Suddenly, a bell rang right next to Wang Lan's ear. Wang Lan hurriedly raised his head and looked around. But this bell seemed to be everywhere. No matter where Wang Lan turned, he could hear it clearly. Dang! The birds in the distance flew away in fright, and even the roars of the beasts that were coming one after another also stopped. Suddenly, Wang Lan raised his head and looked at the sky in a daze. The sky seemed to be rippling, spreading out into the distance. We might be inside that big bell. Wang Lan guessed. What? Why can't I see it? This big bell has covered the entire Immortal Cloud sect, and it is transparent. So we are inside the big bell. The sound of the bell seems to be coming from all directions. Yu Ruiyun imitated Wang Lan and raised her head. After a long time, she nodded her head in agreement. That's the only explanation. Ruiyun, have you ever thought about why the entire Immortal Cloud sect was destroyed and all the buildings collapsed, but only that hall remained intact? Maybe the hall's material is more solid? Saying that, Yu Ruiyun laughed first. I'm just talking nonsense. Logically speaking, the hall's material is the same as the other buildings. I'm guessing this hall must have been preserved by the Immortal Cloud sect. But since the sect has been destroyed, why would they leave the hall behind? Wang Lan's eyes lit up. Inheritance. It should be. Let's go back to the hall and look. It said that one who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune. We are so unlucky to be sent to this godforsaken place. If we don't have any fortuitous encounters, we would be letting down this encounter. Why do you think so? What? That one will definitely have a fortuitous encounter when encountering danger. Aren't all the protagonists in TV dramas like this? Being beaten down a cliff, obtaining a peerless divine weapon, and then returning to the pugilistic world to kill all the enemies. Being sent to the Star Palace, but meeting the legend of Takashi Hoshi by chance, rebuilding the Star Palace, and returning to the peak. Yu Ruiyun looked at Wang Lan with a strange gaze, filled with deep pity. You are really naive and romantic. This is called not forgetting one's original intention. Although they were bickering, it was just to comfort each other. As for whether there were any treasures or inheritances in the hall, there was a high probability that there were. Wang Lan had already analyzed the situation. All the other buildings had collapsed, so there was no reason for the hall to be intact. Coupled with the invisible bell that enveloped the Immortal Cloud sect, it was obvious that it was protecting something. The bell was definitely not protecting the ruins. Therefore, it could only be the hall. However, the hall was also in a mess. Even the place where the chairs were once placed was now left with a pile of dust. If not for the traces of the chairs, Wang Lan would have thought that the hall was originally empty. The steps in the middle of the hall had already collapsed. Even the statue that was originally enshrined had turned into rubble. The only thing that could be considered to be something was that pile of rubble. Wang Lan and Yu Ruiyun came to the rubble that was used to enshrine the statue. Those rubble were very brittle and would shatter with just a light pinch. Just as they were about to crush the rubble, Wang Lan suddenly looked at an irregular stone in his hand with hesitation. Ruiyun, look at the color of this stone. There is something wrong with it. It doesn't look like a naturally formed stone. It looks more like concrete. Teacher Wang, please be rational. Concrete has only been around for less than 700 years. Ka. Wang Lan gently pinched, and the concrete crumbled. A sky-blue soul pearl appeared in Wang Lan's palm. Wang Lan raised his eyebrows and looked at Yurun. Although he didn't say anything, the meaning was clear. Now, what else do you have to say? Ruiyun greeted him with a black face. Did he really guess it correctly? Immediately, Ruiyun quickly dug out a stone that resembled concrete from the rubble. With a light pinch, the stone crumbled. A fiery red high-grade soul pearl appeared in Ruiyun's palm. Chapter 306. After a round of cleaning, the two of them found 8 soul beads, all of which were high-grade soul beads. In order to prevent missing anything, the two of them even crushed all the stones. It should be the inheritance that the Immortal Cloud sect deliberately left behind. They really put in a lot of effort. Wang Lan sighed softly. All of them are high-grade soul beads. The Takashi Hoshi techniques inside are at least S-class, or even beyond S-class. Ruiyun picked up a blue soul bead and immersed her spiritual power into it. Virtuous water? It's a water-type Takashi Hoshi technique. Its level is really high. You just took a look? Seeing Ruiyun leave after touching it, Wang Lan was surprised. Aren't you going to learn it? Logically speaking, these are the spoils of war, and it should be handed over to the country. Moreover, there are so many high-level Takashi Hoshi techniques that we can't learn. The country needs powerful Takashi Hoshi techniques so much that if a student gets a Star Palace artifact, do they also need to hand it over to the country? Naturally, there's no need. Ruiyun had already understood Wang Lan's meaning. But Takashi Hoshi techniques are different. It's not that my ideological awareness is really high, and I'm not a saint. An individual's strength can't change the strength of a country. If these Takashi Hoshi techniques are handed over to the country can rely on them to cultivate more strong people, and our strength will increase. I have the Dragon Emperor form. You have the Phoenix form. Just this one is enough for us to spend a lifetime. If we learn more, we won't bite off more than we can chew. Want to be a waste of these Takashi Hoshi techniques? We've fallen into this situation, and we don't even know if we can get out alive. Since we're sheltered here, as long as we don't die, the outside world will definitely find ways to save us. I didn't think about it before, but after analyzing it, my life and death is related to a storm that will shake the Jade State. I'm afraid that the Jade State won't sit idly by. If the 5 emperors join forces, they might be able to fight their way here to save us. Then, Wang Lan looked defeated. We found 8 soul orbs, so it's not too much for us to learn one, right? Looking at Wang Lan's eyes, Ruiyun hesitated for a long time before finally nodding her head. They found it together, so there was nothing wrong with saying that it was a fortuitous encounter that belonged to them. If she didn't even agree to this request, then she would really be too saintly. Ruiyun believed that one shouldn't bite off more than they could chew, but that didn't mean that Wang Lan thought the same. All right, my real name is of the fire attribute. How about this? I'll choose the red one. Then I'll choose the green one. The two of them each chose a soul bead. Then they sat on one side and started to absorb the soul beads. Wang, as he absorbed the soul orb, a huge amount of information rushed into his spiritual sea. Unable to learn Takashi Hoshi. Attempting to force load. Force load failed. Host does not meet the learning conditions. Do you wish to seal Takashi Hoshi? Can still be sealed? Wang Lan's eyes moved, and he chose yes. In an instant, a new icon appeared on the skills page. This icon looked like a book. Wang Lan focused his spiritual power on the book. The title of the book showed the name of the skill, 5 Extreme Fire Arts. Sure enough, it was a Super S Takashi Hoshi skill. It was even higher than the Phoenix form. After all, the learning condition was Star Sea Realm. The book was just a representation. When Wang Lan absorbed the skill, Wang Lan already knew what this 5 extreme fire arts was. This was a skill to cultivate 5 special flames. It was different from the regular Takashi Hoshi skills that Wang Lan knew. If there was a difference, the Takashi Hoshi skills that Wang Lan knew were like a set of secret skills broken down into different moves. Just like the 18 dragon subduing palms, the arrogant dragon regrets was a Takashi Hoshi skill, and the divine dragon swings its tail was another Takashi Hoshi skill. But this 5 extreme fire arts was a complete set of Takashi Hoshi skills cultivation methods. The 5 extreme fires were the true sun fire that burned the earth, the true samadhi fire that could not be extinguished, the netherworld ghost fire that could burn the soul, the red lotus fire that could punish evil, and the 9 heavens thunder fire that could destroy everything. Each fire had a different effect, and the damage was more and more powerful. The true sun fire was pure light and heat, and the true samadhi fire was definitely the best weapon to scatter ashes. As long as the true samadhi fire touched you, it would not be extinguished until you were burned to ashes. Just this flame alone was enough to kill a large number of people. The netherworld ghost fire and the red lotus fire were even more terrifying. They were mysterious attacks that were impossible to guard against. Although he could not use it, Wang Lan was very satisfied. At least, it would be very convenient to use it with the flame saber in the future. After opening his eyes, he saw that Yuriyun had also opened her eyes. It's actually a wind attribute cultivation method. This is a cultivation method from ancient times. It can support the entire Takashi Hoshi system. Wang Lan, these soul beads are too important to the Jade State. Even if we have to risk our lives, we must give them to them. Yuriyun said excitedly. Ancient cultivation method? Do you mean that in ancient times we actually had a complete cultivation method? Yes. Yuriyun nodded with a flushed face. Since the appearance of mankind, Takashi Hoshi was born from mankind. Many powerful Takashi Hoshi left behind myths and legends in ancient times. Although the legends were exaggerated, we did have an advanced and complete cultivation system. But all of this was broken by the invasion of demons. The first recorded invasion of demons was during the Nuwa era. Legend has it that when the heaven and earth were broken, the extraterrestrial demons rushed into the human world through the hole in the sky and slaughtered all living things. Nuwa led the human race to resist. In the end, Nuwa refined the 5-colored stone to mend the sky. Only then was the gap in the sky blocked, and the extraterrestrial demons were kept out of the primal chaos. But the land that was ravaged by the extraterrestrial demons was in a mess, and many creatures died. After that, similar legends of calamities continued to circulate. But 3,000 years ago, the legends of the ancient experts became rare. But there were still Chi cultivator sects that accepted disciples and passed down their teachings. 2,000 years ago, even those Chi cultivator sects disappeared. Only a few legends of Earth immortals would appear from time to time. But even so, there were still some clans related to the ancient immortal sects that passed down their teachings to this day. Do you know the Liu family? Liu family? Yes, Aolai Liu family. They claim to be the descendants of an ancient immortal sect, Hao Yang Sword sect. Their family indeed had a lot of oracle bones and stone tablets from ancient times. Although it might be fabricated, there is also a certain possibility that it is true. But now, this immortal cloud sect still has the inheritance left behind, which is irrefutable evidence. In ancient times, there was a Takashi Hoshi civilization that was far superior to the current one, and had a complete inheritance. But because of the repeated invasions of the demons, the inheritance was cut off, and the civilization was destroyed. From a 9-story pagoda, from the Azure Dragon art, from the Star Palace divine artifact that we have unearthed from the alternate space all these years, we can all prove it. Then, if the ancient cultivation civilization could be preserved until now, how much would it increase the strength of us humans? Wang Lan asked curiously. Because one's status determined one's height, no matter how amazing Wang Lan was in the past 17 years, he was still a commoner. A commoner's access to information was limited. Even if he came into contact with some information, it could be deliberately arranged, and what he saw might not be the truth. Without detailed information, without accurate information, even the smartest person was no different from a stupid donkey. Wang Lan did not feel ashamed of this. Asking questions when he did not understand was a habit that he had always persisted in. Overturning the heavens and earth. Yu Riyun said, if the ancient cultivation civilization could be preserved until today, the demons would not dare to invade again. We have a technological civilization, and with the cultivation civilization, we might even be able to fight our way back to the demon world. Is it that exaggerated? If the ancient cultivation civilization was so strong, why would it gradually decline after being defeated by the demons? Times are different. How could the number of Takeshi Hoshi in ancient times be compared to the current one? Research from the human gene pool shows that the number of Takeshi Hoshi is constantly increasing as humans evolve. 2,000 years ago, during the reign of Emperor Mingwang of the Great Tang Dynasty, there was a saying in the Mount Tai sacrificial oration, I have 50,000 celestial soldiers, and I bear the fate of the people. During the reign of Emperor Mingwang of the Great Tang Dynasty, the demons had invaded for 110 years, and the Great Tang Dynasty was at its strongest. The Great Tang Dynasty's policy was to never let go of a single Takeshi Hoshi, and all Takeshi Hoshi were incorporated into the Celestial Army. Even if they did not serve in the army, they were still in the Celestial Army. Therefore, when Emperor Mingwang of the Great Tang Dynasty said that he had 50,000 celestial soldiers, it should be that the Great Tang Dynasty had 50,000 Takeshi Hoshi. Compared to the population of less than 200 million back then, this ratio was only 1/10 of the current population. Before the soul resonance technology was invented, the most recent statistics of Takeshi Hoshi in the Jade State showed that out of a population of 400 million, there were 200,000 Takeshi Hoshi. Compared to the Tang Dynasty, this ratio had doubled. By analogy, when the ancient cultivation civilization was developed, the total population of the Central Plains was only 50 to 60 million, and there were probably only 10,000 Takeshi Hoshi who had awakened naturally. 10,000 people fought against the demon's army, and they were able to defeat the demons many times. One could only imagine how powerful they were back then. There were many kinds of ancient cultivation civilizations, and most of them focused on cultivation. It was unlike now, where they were constantly improving themselves. Some scholars speculated that there might be a cultivation system in ancient times that was not affected by talent, and it was a gradual system like our education system. If the ancient civilization could be passed down to the present day, with the 2 million Takeshi Hoshi in the Jade State, why would we be afraid of the demons? After Yu Riyun's explanation, what else could Wang Lan say? He could only say, 666. There's nothing wrong with my old friend. After Yu Riyun finished speaking, she looked at the 6 soul orbs in front of her with a look of pity. It's a pity that these ancient cultivation techniques are too profound. I'm afraid that they were left behind by the Immortal Cloud sect. They might not have expected that what their descendants needed the most was not some divine cultivation technique, but the basic cultivation techniques. They also wouldn't have thought that such a huge cultivation civilization would be destroyed by the demons bit by bit, and their inheritance would be cut off. But then again, if not for the destruction of the cultivation civilization, we might not have been able to develop a technological civilization. Maybe when the technological civilization sprouted, it would have been destroyed as heresy. Maybe. Yu Riyun stood up and looked at the mess behind her. We've already taken so many benefits. Let's clean up this pile of trash. After taking their inheritance, we can be considered as the disciples of the Immortal Cloud sect. Cleaning up was not a difficult task for Wang Lan and Yu Riyun, who were powerful Takeshi Hoshi, even if they did not have any tools. But to show respect, Wang Lan and Yu Riyun went outside to get some branches and hay and made some simple broom balls. Wang Lan, Yu Riyun was so busy that she was sweating. But in the blink of an eye, Wang Lan had disappeared. At this moment, she once again revealed the weak side of a woman. Not seeing her companion, she shouted in panic. I'm just going to the toilet. Don't come over. Hearing the sound getting closer and closer, Wang Lan hurriedly shouted. Pulling open the zipper, Wang Lan's hand suddenly paused. Mother of asterisk her, I didn't even notice that my underwear was inside out. Chapter 307. Wang Lan. Suddenly, Yuriyun called out again. It's coming, Wang Lan, look. Yuriyun pointed at the altar where the stones had been cleaned up. A part of it had been cleaned, revealing an immortal-like pattern. What's wrong? Isn't this just an ordinary relief? No, I've read ancient documents before. In ancient times, the cultivation civilization was very prosperous, but the evolution of writing had just begun. People couldn't use simple words to describe complicated languages. In the cultivation civilization, they had a unique way of recording languages called runes. A rune wasn't a representation of a word, but a rune that could store spiritual consciousness. Wang Lan, look at this pattern in the pattern. It looks like a rune. Like a soul bead. Yes, a soul bead is the best way to preserve Takashi Hoshi techniques. But a rune is like a USB flash drive in our era. A soul bead needs a soul bead to engrave a soul bead. But what if there's no soul bead? Rune engraving only needs to engrave runes. Although, no one knows how runes are engraved. The use of runes was clearly recorded in the Yin and Huang dynasties. Yin and Huang fought in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, and Yin was ambushed and trapped by Huang in a mountain. Yin drew a rune in the air and transmitted his voice from 1,000 miles away, calling for the blue bird to come to his rescue. From this description, we can see that runes are not only used for recording, but also for many other uses, such as transmitting voice from 1,000 miles away. It feels like a god. Wang Lan couldn't help but complain. After all, the Takashi Hoshi of ancient times were gods in the eyes of ordinary people. Let's clean up and find out how to read runes. Maybe what's recorded in the runes is the most basic cultivation method we lack. Wang Lan and Yuriyun hurriedly got to work. After cleaning up the altar, a look of pity appeared in their eyes. That was just the tip of the iceberg, so Yuriyun guessed that it was a rune. After cleaning up, Yuriyun confirmed that it was a rune. But the rune engraved on the altar had already been broken. As if it had suffered a violent impact, cracks began to spread out from the center of the altar, and more than a dozen runes were split apart. Since the runes had cracked, whatever was recorded within them must have disappeared as well. Yuriyun thought that it was a pity, but she was still unwilling to give up. She focused her mind on each rune, but what she got back was nothing. It's all been destroyed. What a pity. Let me try. Seeing that Yuriyun had retreated, Wang Lan stepped forward and mobilized his spiritual force, and then crashed into the rune. Boom! In an instant, an incandescent light appeared in front of his eyes. It was hazy and blurry, but there was nothing there. What happened to you? Did you read it? What did you see? Yuriyun asked nervously when she saw Wang Lan's expression. Wang Lan shook his head. No, I only saw a vast expanse of whiteness. I didn't see anything. It seems like you're right. The runes have been destroyed. A vast expanse of whiteness? What a vast expanse of whiteness. Yuriyun's face revealed a look of astonishment. Then, she revealed an expression of ecstasy in an instant. You can read runes? You can see what's engraved in the runes? No, Wang Lan answered decisively. I can't. Didn't you just say? I only saw a hazy white light. I couldn't see anything. That's not right. If you can see the hazy white light, it means that you can read the contents of the runes. I didn't sense anything just now. This relief sculpture is just like any other relief sculpture. The hazy white light you saw, if I'm not wrong, should be the engraved space inside the rune. The reason why there's nothing is because this rune is broken. The spiritual engraved content inside has dissipated. Is that so? Then I'll look at the next one. Wang Lan mobilized his spiritual force and crashed into the broken runes one by one. It's empty. It's still empty. Rune, are you sure this white light didn't appear because I knocked myself silly? It's all empty. Don't you know whether you knocked yourself silly or not? Continue. This rune is relatively complete. Quickly take a look. Is there anything inside? All right. Boom. When he crashed into it, he saw stars. The white world was hazy. It was exactly the same as before. However, when Wang Lan was about to leave, suddenly, something seemed to fly over from the distant world. Golden runes turned into streamers and rushed toward him. Before Wang Lan could react, he was hit by the Pegasus meteor punch and was stunned on the spot. Celestial Cloud Mystic Record, Chi Training Chapter, Learnable Technique found. Do you want to spend one skill point to learn it? Yes. Only one skill point? Wang Lan agreed without even thinking about it. Boom. In his mind, the information exploded. And on the system skill page, a brand new page appeared. Technique Chapter, Celestial Cloud Mystic Record, Chi Training Chapter, Black Iron Grade 1. Such an awesome name, and you're only Black Iron Grade 1? Wang Lan sank his mind into the Celestial Cloud Mystic Record's refining chapter and recalled it. After a while, Wang Lan finally understood the main difference between the Technique Chapter and the Skill Chapter. The Black Iron and Bronze level in the Technique Chapter was not only the level of the technique, but also the level of the cultivator. For the same technique, some people could reach the Gold level through comprehensive study, while others could reach the Platinum level through superb mastery. Therefore, the role of a good cultivation technique came out. It was just like in a martial arts novel. One person cultivated ordinary internal strength, while the other cultivated the 9 Yang Divine Art. They were both bronze-level cultivators, but the one who cultivated the 9 Yang Divine Art could definitely kill the one who cultivated ordinary internal strength. Wang Lan opened his eyes. Yu Riyun was less than 10 centimeters away from Wang Lan's face. Suddenly opening his eyes, Yu Riyun was shocked and took a step back. Her face was red. How is it? Did you get anything? The Celestial Cloud Mystic Records Chi Training Chapter is a method of absorbing the natural star power between heaven and earth through breathing and the operation of the incantation. If what is recorded is true, our Takashi Hoshi's dependence on soul orbs will be minimized. Takashi Hoshi from ordinary families will not need to overdraft their cellular life to extract soul orbs to obtain a stable source of star power. Really? Yu Riyun's face revealed ecstasy. Yu Riyun was clearer than Wang Lan about what Wang Lan meant. How much did Takashi Hoshi rely on soul orbs in the early stages? If Yu Riyun did not have soul orbs, even if her talent was high, she would not be able to reach the peak of the galaxy realm or even nebula realm. There were many geniuses in the world who reached the nebula realm in high school. However, they were all piled up with soul orbs. Without soul orbs, everyone's upper limit was at the early or middle stages of star blazing. Those who were born ordinary and had no money or power could not provide soul orbs. Therefore, they could only become the stepping stones of the so-called geniuses. This was the reality. Because of this, many geniuses would transform into dragons when they were in university and soar to the top. In the early stages, due to the lack of combat experience and skills, it was impossible to let a group of inexperienced and skilled blazing stars go to the training fields or alternate spaces to hunt strange beasts. The imbalance of resources would cause the gap in talent to become bigger and bigger. However, the immortal cloud mystic record that Wang Lan had obtained could change all of this. If he could really absorb star power from the vast heaven and earth, the imbalance of resources would be completely broken. Many commoner geniuses would jump out and shine in the early stages. Then, they would be discovered by good schools and grow stronger at an earlier age. Thinking of this, Yu Riyun could not help but tremble in excitement. However, Wang Lan let out a long sigh. What a pity. Originally, each of these runes should have a cultivation technique engraved in it. It could even be the complete inheritance of the Immortal Cloud sect. However, now, only the Chi cultivation chapter is left. It's good enough that we can find this. Although she said this, she still touched the runes with a reluctant expression. Don't move. Wang Lan suddenly shouted and pointed at Yu Riyun's glabella with 2 fingers. A spiritual thought entered Yu Riyun's glabella. He transferred the immortal cloud mystic record chi cultivation chapter that he had just obtained into Yuriyun's spiritual sea. We obtained this together, so it should belong to us. Dang! Suddenly, the bell above their heads rang, and the vibrating sound waves rippled out. Wang Lan released his fingers and raised his head in confusion. It's already 24 hours? Why do I feel that the bell hasn't rung for long? It's not long. Yu Ruiyun's face was also filled with confusion. Weng! Suddenly, a buzzing sound rang out, and a white light shrouded the entire hall from the sky. Wang Lan and Yu Ruiyun raised their heads nervously. The top of the hall quickly disappeared in the white light. However, the strange thing was that they were not affected by the white light. Suddenly, another strong suction force attacked. Wang Lan grabbed Yu Ruiyun's hand in a panic. He lost consciousness in the dazzling white light. Shanghai Cebu Gakuen was shrouded in dark clouds. In the past 2 days, who knew how many big shots had come to Cebu Gakuen? For the ordinary students of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen, they could only understand that the Jade State's second princess had met with an accident in the 9th-floor pagoda. Although Yuriyun's status was noble, it was still the Republican era. There was no such thing as a princess. As for the dozens of other students who had met with an accident, all of them added together were not as important as Princess Yu. Otherwise, the 9th-floor pagoda would open every year. Every year, there would be students who died inside. Why was the entire school shrouded in dark clouds this year? Not many students cared about the inconspicuous Wang Lan on the list. But at least one person cared. Female dormitory, room 305. Jiang Xinyu, who sat by the window with her hair hanging loose. She looked out of the window with a dazed look in her eyes. In just 2 days, Jiang Xinyu had become so haggard that she looked like a lamp that had run out of oil. Xinyu, you have to be strong. This is the fate of a Takashi Hoshi. No one can avoid it. Wang Lan is my student, and he is a warrior. None of us want him to die on the battlefield, but the death of a warrior is unavoidable. You should pull yourself together and fulfill his unfulfilled wish. Sun Li said to Jiang Xinyu with a heavy expression. Unfulfilled wish. Teacher, do you know what Wang Lan's unfulfilled wish was? Sun Li hesitated for a long time, then shook her head. I don't know, but I think he wanted to become a powerful Takashi Hoshi. He wanted to become a hero remembered by history. His dream was simple. He wanted to have a stable income, find an ordinary wife, and have 2 children, a boy and a girl. He wanted to live a peaceful life until he retired at the age of 60. Then, he would travel the world with his wife. If there was any time left, he would think about it again. He never wanted to be a hero. At that time, he hadn't awakened his Takashi Hoshi talent. Teacher, I don't believe he's dead. He's still alive. Chapter 308. Xinyu, you should accept reality. The lights on the 7th floor have been extinguished. If he was still alive, he would have come out the day before yesterday. Every year, there are people who stay in the pagoda forever. You are a Takashi Hoshi, so don't let your emotions get the better of you. I'm not letting my emotions get the better of me. Although I'm scared and don't want to believe it, my intuition tells me that he's still alive. My intuition has never been wrong, especially when it comes to him. I don't believe that he's dead. Teacher, is there any way for me to enter the pagoda? I want to find him. You're courting death. With your strength, you won't even be able to reach the 3rd floor. Forget it. You need time to calm down. Wang Lan is my student, and I don't want anything to happen to him. Besides, he's someone who has made great contributions to humanity. But I really hope that you can pull yourself together as soon as possible. I'll come see you tomorrow. Sun Li sighed, shook her head, and left. The quiet corridor echoed with the sound of Sun Li's high-heeled footsteps. The atmosphere in the first meeting room of the academy was even more oppressive and deadly silent than Jiang Xinyu's dorm room. The impact of Yu Ruiyun and Wang Lan's deaths was so severe that the students of Cebu Gakuen couldn't even begin to imagine. Yu Ruiyun wasn't just a princess of a Jade State. Her death meant that the restoration of the dynasty that had been suppressed for 70 years had finally been ignited. They used to be the high and mighty nobles. Even after the end of the dynasty and the establishment of the Republic, they still held the largest share of power in the Jade State. The Great War of the Century had shattered the mountains and rivers. It had also shattered the ruling status of the nobles. After the country had regained its former glory, they suddenly realized that the people who had once been under their rule had quietly climbed over their heads. It was no longer possible for them to rise to a high position by relying on the normal process. In order to prevent the old nobles from influencing national politics, the country had been suppressing the nobles. But a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Even if their strength had been weakened to the extreme, they still had the power to fight against the state. But the prerequisite for this was that they had to uphold national justice. Otherwise, if the security and stability of a country in turmoil or the crime of treason were to be recorded, not only would they face condemnation in speech and writing, even the people who relied on them would turn their backs on them. They had waited for this righteous cause for 70 years. Most of the nobles' forces were attached to Emperor Qing's forces. In other words, Emperor Qing's forces were the nobles' forces. That was because the most powerful party was the imperial family. Emperor Ren announced his abdication that year, ending the reign of the Great Yu Empire. However, not everyone supported it. In fact, the majority of the people opposed it. The forces of the other four emperors revolved around the four emperors. Only Emperor Qing was merely a flag of the royal family. Now, the second princess of the imperial family was dead, and it was very likely that it was not an accident. If it wasn't an accident, then someone must have done it on purpose. It didn't matter who the mastermind was. What was important was who it could be. Di Lao was already 102 years old this year. He had made a name for himself when he was young, became a talent when he was middle-aged, and became a heavenly dome when he was 50 years old. It was only when he was close to 90 years old that he was able to nurture a disciple who could inherit his mantle, Wang Ling. He was a highly respected old man of virtue and prestige. Even though the people present had long wanted to get angry and make trouble, as long as Di Lao was present, no one dared to open their mouth. Everyone knows what happened, right? On Di Lao's left was a middle-aged man, close to 50 years old. He had an elegant temperament and was wearing a black suit. His whole body was emitting the aura of nobility. We only have a rough understanding of what happened. We don't know the specific reason yet. Di Lao, you're a leading figure. Tell me, how did something happen to Her Highness the Princess? Why did she run to the 7th floor for no reason? The 9th floor pagoda has always been under the control of Sibu Gakuin of Shanghai. What does Prince Ning mean? Nangong Meng snorted coldly. Does Prince Ning suspect that Yu Ruiyun's accident has something to do with the school? Could it be that you think the school would harm its own students? Ordinary students aren't worth the school's harm. If they want to harm them, they have to be valuable. The situation of 5 elders and 5 emperors has been going on for 20 years. In the Takashi Hoshi world, I'm afraid there are some people who are unwilling to accept this and want to take all the Takashi Hoshi under their control. What a scheme, what a scheme. As if the second princess wasn't enough, they even schemed against the son of Yin Emperor, who just came out of seclusion. No wonder Yin Emperor hid his son so well. If he didn't hide him well, he would have been killed by a car that lost control before he could awaken his innate talent. Yu Huailong, please watch your mouth. Zhuo Ming, who was sitting opposite Yu Huailong, shouted with a gloomy expression. General Zhuo, don't tell me you don't think so. I just said what you wanted to say, but didn't dare to say. Why did something happen to the second princess and Wang Lan? Why didn't something happen earlier or later? Why did it have to happen at the school? Have you said enough? Di Lao silently spat out a column of smoke as he coldly shouted. He didn't dare to be impudent in front of Di Lao. Yu Qing, what do you think? Di Lao turned to the Qing Emperor and asked Yu Qing. We have to investigate this matter thoroughly, but we have to stabilize the situation as soon as possible. The Jade State can't fall into chaos, especially at a time like this. Qing Emperor, your niece has been killed. Yu Huailong, who had spoken earlier, said coldly. I'm also extremely saddened by Ruiyun's death, so no matter who's behind this, I'll definitely grind their bones to dust. However, the bigger picture is more important now. Oomph. Are they related by blood after all? A disdainful sneer sounded. The Qing Emperor's expression immediately became unnatural. All right, we're all reputable people, so let's not talk nonsense. I now announce that I'll take full responsibility for what happened to Riyun and Wang Lan in the 9-story pagoda. Di Lao's voice was very soft, but it was powerful. A long time after Di Lao's voice fell, the conference room was still deathly silent. What? How can this be? Yu Huailong immediately jumped up in agitation. Di Lao, you're the most important person in the Jade State. You're our spiritual symbol. How can you take full responsibility? Furthermore, this matter definitely has nothing to do with you. How can you take the blame for the mastermind? Aren't you shielding the mastermind? The mastermind must be investigated thoroughly, but before we find out the ins and outs of this matter, I'll take full responsibility. Because of my negligence, an accident occurred in the 9-story pagoda. Ruoyun and Wang Lan were transported to the 7-story pagoda and died. From today onwards, I'll resign from my position as the director of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen and be banished to the 9-story pagoda for life. Di Lao, you can't. Zhuoming also stood up agitatedly and tried to persuade him. Di Lao reached out his hand to stop Zhuoming. If you really want to live up to me, investigate this matter as soon as possible and give them justice. One is my great-granddaughter, and the other is a young man who has made outstanding contributions to the human race. They shouldn't be sacrificed in a game, and they shouldn't be framed by the enemy. Di Lao's words were unquestionable. The atmosphere in the conference room was as oppressive as a pressure cooker. By doing this, Di Lao was risking his entire life's reputation. Throughout his life, Di Lao had a clear conscience. He had a clear conscience to the world, to his people, and to the world. When he was young, he defended the country's land and opened up new borders. When he was in his prime, he participated in the most heroic battle of the war between humans and demons. When he was old, he taught and educated people and brought up batches of outstanding students. He was one of the few remaining elders of the Jade State, and the only legend who participated in the Great War of the Century. Di Lao silently stood up and left the conference room. The moment Di Lao's figure disappeared, the expressions of everyone in the conference room became complicated. An intense debate broke out. Whether it was those with loyal hearts or those with ulterior motives, they couldn't help but stop their calculations at this moment. Di Lao was betting his entire life's reputation to suppress this lit fuse, which was unexpected by everyone. Death Valley, 9-story pagoda. A crack suddenly appeared in the sky, and 2 figures fell from the crack. Ghost Eyes, who had just popped out from the crack in the rock and was planning to reoccupy Death Valley, retreated back into the crack in an instant when he saw the 2 figures in the sky. Good heavens, in order to block me, you actually camped me for 2 days and 2 nights? Since I can't afford to offend you, I'll just wait for another 10 days to half a month. Wang Lan suddenly felt that he could control his body, so he hurriedly circulated his astral power to stabilize his body. Then, he steadily landed on the ground. Looking at the familiar environment, Wang Lan and Yu Riyun's faces revealed ecstasy. Death Valley? We're back. Ha ha ha. We escaped from a great disaster and escaped to heaven. Quick, let's go and meet up with the big team. I've never been so eager to see my dear classmates, my beloved teachers. Ugh. Wang Lan's mushy words didn't make Yu Riyun feel disgusted, but he made himself feel disgusted first. PFFF. Stop laughing, let's go. However, when the 2 of them walked out of Death Valley, they didn't see any 4th-year students. On the contrary, the exotic beasts, who were beaten up by the 4th-year students for no reason, were especially irritable. Since they couldn't find any humans to vent their anger on, they started to vent their anger on the exotic beasts of other tribes. How long have we been in another layer? Are you sure it's less than 3 days? Wang Lan asked doubtfully. It shouldn't be more than 3 days. Even if there's no time reference, my sense of time shouldn't have deviated so much in such a short period of time. Within 3 days, at most 4 days. Yu Riyun also frowned. Could it be that the trial ended early? All right, I remember now. What? We were teleported to the upper layer previously. There must be a display outside, so the school ended the trial early. Then, now that we're on the fourth layer, can the people outside sense it? If there's someone on duty at the back of the mountain, the plaque on the fourth layer will light up. They should know. It wasn't a should, but a must. Not to mention on duty. Ever since the incident, the 9-story pagoda at the back of the mountain disappeared 24 times and was heavily guarded. Many people couldn't wait to stare at the 7th layer, hoping that a miracle would happen and the 7th layer would light up again. After all, there were more people who hoped that Yuriyun would be safe, and there were even more people who hoped that Wang Lan would be safe. The real conspirators were only a minority. However, the plaque on the 7th layer didn't light up, but the plaque on the 4th layer actually lit up. The students on the 4th layer had already gone out, and the plaque that lit up previously had long dimmed. Moreover, the plaque that would only extinguish when there was no external life aura, why would it suddenly light up again? After a short moment of shock, a tactics teacher suddenly turned around and ran like crazy. "Dean, it's lit up! It's lit up!" Chapter 309. His frantic running brought some liveliness to the originally gloomy school. He ran from the back of the mountain to the knowledge-gazing tower, shouting as he ran. "What's wrong with that teacher? What's he shouting about? The dean lit up? The dean hasn't gone bald yet. Why did it light up?" With a whoosh, Di Lao, Emperor Qing, and a group of experts appeared in front of the tactical teacher. "Ma Ji, what's wrong with you? Why are you making such a fuss?" "It lit up again, Dean. The 9-story pagoda lit up again. This time, it's not the 7th story, but the 4th story." Ma Ji shouted excitedly. In an instant, Di Lao and the others were startled. But soon, Di Lao suddenly took a step forward, and his figure instantly disappeared. The azure arch hurriedly disappeared as well. He left behind a group of people staring at each other. The 4th story? Didn't they all retreat? Nangongming was puzzled. Then, he became overjoyed. Could it be that nothing happened to Yu Ruiyun and the others? The 9-story pagoda lit up again, and the news spread throughout the school like a hurricane. Most of the students were curious about it, but they didn't care much. But a small group of people still started to discuss it. Sun Li's high-heeled footsteps rang out again. She arrived at Jiang Xinyu's door and was just about to knock when she heard Jiang Xinyu talking to someone on the phone excitedly. "Is what you said true? It lit up again? Okay, I'll go take a look right away." Jiang Xinyu hurriedly opened the door, only to see Sun Li knocking on the door. "Teacher Sunday, what's wrong? What's going on?" The 9-story pagoda lit up again. There might be people inside. The dean and some other teachers are rushing over. I'm also going to take a look. After saying that, she rushed to the stairs in the distance. It lit up again. Inside the 9-story pagoda, at the exit. As expected, the 9-story pagoda is closed. When will they open it again? I'm so hungry. Wang Lan was lying on a tree branch at the entrance of the 9-story pagoda. Yuriyun was sitting cross-legged under a tree, cultivating the Immortal Cloud Mystic Records Qi Refinement chapter. I still feel like I'm missing something. Wang Lan, can you stop talking? Your voice is disturbing my mind. The school must have known that there were still people in the tower. The gate was opened very quickly. Can Princess Yu's Dao heart be so easily disturbed? The current relationship between Wang Lan and Yu Riyun had already reached the level of close friends. Bickering and farting, nothing was taboo. After getting familiar with each other, Yu Riyun was no different from an ordinary girl. What aura? What pressure? Actually, it was all self-inflicted. At least, Wang Lan felt that Yu Riyun was just a little more knowledgeable and liked to preach. She could also be called long-winded. Everything else was pretty good. Although you can't touch my Dao heart, it's better for you to shut up than to talk a lot. Speaking of which, aren't you going to practice? Cultivation was like sailing against the current. Even if you had unparalleled talent, you should make use of all the time you had to improve yourself. There's never been a lack of hardworking people in this world, nor is there a lack of hardworking and talented people. Yu Riyun began to preach again. Stop. Master, can you stop chanting? Master, no, you're wrong. It's the abbess. You, Shilmu. Although it's only the most basic chi cultivation chapter, it can increase your star power without relying on soul pearls. If you cultivate it to a high level, it's equivalent to absorbing soul pearls all the time. Don't you know how helpful it is to your improvement? Even if your emotions are fluctuating after surviving a disaster, it's already been an hour. It's time to calm down. Blah, blah, blah. Hearing what Yuruyan said, Wang Lan's eyes were full of confusion. Sister, I surrender. I'm wrong. I'll confess. I've already learned it. Learned it? Yuruyan paused and looked up at Wang Lan in surprise. When did you learn it? I learned it in the main hall. This breathing and chi circulation is a step-by-step watermill project. During this process, the 12 acupoints of a human body are opened, and the chi circulation automatically completes the conversion of natural star power. You are able to open 2 meridians in an hour. It's already super heaven-defying, okay? Don't give yourself so much pressure. Stay calm. What about you? Where are you? I'm gifted. I was born with all meridians open, so I don't need to go through the same process as you. Of course, I learned it once. But that's it. 10 minutes isn't even as much as a beginner's soul pearl. If Wang Lan was an NPC, Yuruyan should be able to see the numbers that kept appearing above Wang Lan's head when he was talking. To others, the Immortal Cloud Mystic Records Chi Cultivation chapter was to train star power. It was to absorb the star power of heaven and earth for one's own use. But to Wang Lan, he was actually adding experience points. Although his blue bar would indeed recover when it was depleted, to Wang Lan, even if he didn't cultivate the Immortal Cloud Mystic Record, his blue bar would automatically recover itself. Yuruyan rolled her eyes at Wang Lan and finally fell silent. Rumble. Suddenly, there was a loud sound in the sky. It was like thunder. Yuruyan stood up with a whoosh. Wang Lan also rolled down from the tree branch. The originally illusory space in front of them suddenly cracked open slowly. Amidst the distortion, the door of the 9-story pagoda gradually appeared in front of the 2 of them. Before the door stabilized, 2 figures had already appeared in front of the 2 of them. Dilao and the Lotus Thorch immediately saw Wang Lan and Yuruyan standing at the door. Their nervous faces finally revealed a long-lost smile. Are you all okay? Great-grandfather, uncle. Dean, we are fine. It's just that G phone and by G. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. Follow us out first. The 4 of them walked out of the 9-story pagoda in succession. Although they had guessed that there would be a big commotion when they came out and that there would be a big welcoming scene, they didn't expect it to be so big. The moment they stepped out of the 9-story pagoda, countless sharp gazes shot toward the 2 of them, accompanied by a terrifying pressure that was like a fierce cold wind. At first glance, they were all impressive big shots, especially a few military figures who had dazzling golden stars on their epaulets. General, 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 General. Oh my God, there were only 7 generals in the entire Jade State. Even the generals only had 30-something. However, in front of Wang Lan, there were more than 10 generals and generals. Wang Lan, a voice came from behind the crowd. In an instant, a beautiful figure rushed over from the distance. Her fine black hair fluttered in the wind like soft ribbons. Jiang Sinyu's beautiful face was covered with heart-wrenching tears. Wang Lan opened his arms. Jiang Sinyu threw herself into Wang Lan's arms like a swallow returning to its nest, tightly burying herself in Wang Lan's chest. I knew you were still alive. I knew you were still alive, Jiang Sinyu murmured as she felt Wang Lan's strong and powerful heartbeat. In front of so many big shots, the 2 of them unbelievably showed off their affection. Yuri inside was also surrounded by people. Thank you, uncles, for your concern. I'm fine. This is not the place to talk. Let's go somewhere else. Ruyan will tell you everything that happened in detail. Yuruyun said, but her eyes could not help but look at the 2 of them who were hugging each other. There was a touch of envy in her eyes. That's great. After comforting Jiang Sinyu for a while, she finally calmed down. Just as Jiang Sinyu's mood was calmed down, Nangong Ming came looking for her. Wang Lan, hurry, a lot of people are waiting for you. Sinyu, I'll go first. Later, we'll go out and have a good meal together. Look at you. You haven't eaten well these days, right? Nonsense, if I died in there, would you be able to eat? Jiang Sinyu fiercely pinched Wang Lan. That's not necessarily true. Isn't there a saying, turn grief into appetite? Get out of here. With a whoosh, the new phone that he bought during the summer vacation turned into a hidden weapon and flew over. He followed Nangong Ming to the #1 meeting room. Although the atmosphere in the meeting room was serious, it was not depressing. Yu Riyun was already sitting at the head of the table. After Wang Lan came in, Di Lao pointed at the seat beside Yu Riyun and asked Wang Lan to sit down. Great-grandfather uncles, Wang Lan, Yu Jifeng, and Bai Ji's four-man team had a bizarre experience. I'll start from when we entered the 9-story pagoda. After we followed the team to the 4th story, everything was normal. After we killed the golden-winged fire scorpion, we encountered the self-destruction of the Scorpion King. Yu Jifeng and I were seriously injured. Fortunately, Wang Lan's medical talent was strong, so we recovered quickly. However, it was also then that we started to encounter something unusual. 3 Takashi Hoshi from the outside sneaked into the 9-story pagoda with the goal of assassinating Bai Ji. Wait, they assassinated Bai Ji? Not you? Yu Huailong suddenly interrupted. It was indeed Bai Ji. Ning Wang, can you not interrupt the second princess's words? If you have any questions, wait for him to finish speaking. Zhuo Ming said calmly. We confirmed that their goal was Bai Ji, and we killed them on the spot. From this, we deduced that there might be a loophole in the management of the 9-story pagoda. However, this incident did not alert us, so we thought that we would report to the school after we came out. There were still 4 days after we killed the golden-winged fire scorpion, so we thought of killing another tribe. Then, we chose Death Valley. This was because the ghost eyes in Death Valley did not have any fighting power other than the terrifying Takashi Hoshi poison. Wang Lan from our team was the nemesis of Takashi Hoshi's poison. When Wang Lan was collecting the antidote, we found a metal box in the forest outside Death Valley that was left behind 15 years ago. There were many spatial stones in the box. We guessed that someone was secretly stealing the spatial stones in the 9-story pagoda. However, now that we thought about it, it might be a trap set up by the mastermind. We successfully created the antidote and killed many ghost eyes. Everything went smoothly. However, just as we were harvesting, we found a pickaxe used for mining in the depths of Death Valley. It was produced at the end of last year. This made us think that someone among the people who entered this time was secretly digging for the spatial stones. Therefore, we decided to investigate. As expected, we found a deep, man-made cave in the deepest part of Death Valley. However, we did not expect that there were no spatial stones in the cave. It was just a trap prepared for us. When we reached the bottom of the cave, we saw a large number of spatial stones piled up. When they saw us arrive, they activated the spatial stones, intending to destroy us in the turbulence of space. However, they did not expect the spatial stones to open a passage to another space, and all 4 of us were sucked into the spatial crack. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.